Deutschland, Deutschland, über
Yeah, I like this song.
Über alles.
It's a good one. I don't think I know the
You
words.
always forget the second verse.
I
It's
don't
the
remember
national
them.
anthem.
I don't remember them.
Oh, Hitler would be so disappointed.
I'm so full right
Oh,
now.
it's so cold in Russia.
It is. Is it because the Jews?
I don't know if the Jews make it cold. Are the Jews? I feel Russia is more Greek Orthodox.
I think it's Russian Orthodox.
Oh, it's the Jews. It's the Jews. It's the Jews.
It's totally Jews.
Oh, yeah. Oof.
Yeah, the Luftwaffe night was very filling tonight.
Yes, I had extra syrup.
Extra syrup on your Luftwaffles?
Yes, I'm being a naughty boy with the calories.
Oh my goodness.
Oh. Would you like some more schnitzel?
No, you know what we could do that would be very fun?
Ooh.
Let's name all the countries that we want to take over. You go first.
Finland.
Finland is a good one, but also very cold. Do they have Jews there too?
I don't know about the Jews, but they have the cheese that I like.
Oh, I know, the brown one.
The brown cheese.
Yeah, it's very flammable.
Yeah.
So what do we...
What country do you want to take over?
I've seen the pictures of Greece.
Greece?
With the blue water.
They
in
are
the
Greek
sea.
Orthodox there. They're Greek Orthodox. No Jews in Greece.
The people are a little too brown for me, though. We should get rid of them. and we can just be there.
Do you want to go to Greece and kick out the Grecians?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It's what we do.
We should tell the Führer.
Yes, he would like that idea.
Oh, he's a great guy.
We just go up to him and say, "Oh, hi, Führer."
He's like this kind of guy where you just want to like have a giant beer with him.
He's very stylish. I like his mustache.
He's making Germany great again.
Yeah, he is.
What was that?
What was what?
Is this you didn't hear the sound?
What sound?
It sounded like...
That's probably a bird.
It sounded like Luftballons. I don't know how many exactly, but...
99?
There it is again!
Oh, what the fuck was that?
It sounds like witches.
Oh, was it Jews?
Are Jews witches now?
Are they flying?
I've never seen Jew witches!
Oh, gosh! Oh, God!
Oh, no!
Oh, no! Nein! Nein! Augensorge! Augenbrücken, Hagenslegen!
Help me!
Save us, Hitler!
What's happening, fam? Welcome back to...
What? What's what?
I keep saying, hey, everybody, and hey, gang, and what's I trying something new?
What's happening,
fam?
Ugh.
Welcome back to Delete Everything.
That's outdated already, even.
I know.
But it's What Up Homies last week, wasn't it?
I think I did say homies last week. Yeah, I'm mixing it up, dude. Let me mix it up.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Welcome back to the Delete Everything podcast, our metaphorical, sexy night squadron of fighter pilots zooming overhead and dropping fucking truth bombs on you. We're carpet bombing you with knowledge on all the forgotten and partial and deleted history out there. I am your host, Patrick Wall, and with me is my smoking hot tail gunner.
Riley Bowen.
and sitting in with us again today, not as always, but as a lot.
As a lot.
I'm always
Drew.
here.
Producer Drew. He's always here. He's not always mic'd up, but he's
like
mic'd up today.
7-Eleven. You know, he's not always doing business, but he's always open.
Was that a fucking Boondock Saints reference?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Huh.
Thank you first and foremost. If you have taken the time to leave us comments or ratings or reviews, we appreciate that. We're happy. We're happy about that, and we're gonna release your pets and loved ones as we speak. For those of you who haven't yet, don't you miss Luna? Don't you miss baby Jessica?
Luna?
That's the dog. That's. I looked up popular dog names.
Luna's a
Oh, yeah.
I think like Fido or like Rover.
Who the fuck names their dog Fido? I mean, I would 100%. I love that shit, but like,
I think I'm just trapped in the 50s.
people
and 60s
don't
after.
do that.
Here's
Oh,
our
it's all
dog, Fido.
You know what's fun is to name your dog a human name. That's a good one.
That's too popular now.
I've always wanted to name a dog like Carl.
George.
I have a cat named Grogdor, Annihilator of Souls,
My dog is,
and it's on his veterinary information.
My dog is famously Professor Indiana Bones, tenured professor of archaeology.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know
it's
that.
Pretty
It's a
good.
good one.
We had a cat. What did we call him? His actual name was Thor, but on his name tag, my wife was being funny. It was Fatty Boom Boom. So he gets lost once, and he's like across the road over there. This very nice old woman called, and she's like, "I found your cat, Fatty Boom Boom."
The only human name I would name a dog is Bob Barker.
That's not bad.
That's it. That's
Not
the
bad.
only one.
I got a cat.
Especially because the spaying and neutering, and I wouldn't neuter it. I'd be like,
just
this
nope.
is Bob Barker, and he's
breed them like crazy.
got his balls,
Fuck your
baby.
legacy, Bob.
My cat has like a human name in a way. Dio, named after Ronnie James Dio,
James.
which was a human
It still is.
in a way.
Famously,
No, he's
yeah.
dead.
Is he dead?
Yeah, he's been
Oh,
dead
that's
for a while.
right.
yeah.
He did die.
Yeah, Dio's dead.
Anyway,
He's been gone too long in the Midnight Sea.
For those of you who have not yet, please
He's the last in line.
get on Spotify, get on Apple Podcasts, get on Audible, whatever the hell you're listening to. Give us 5 stars.
Then go listen to Dio.
Then when you're done giving us 5 stars, leave us a review. And then if you really want to, you can send us a message. You can send us a show suggestion. You can send us a complaint. Or if you want details on where your pets and family members are, send us a message on deleteeverythingpodcast@gmail.com. We also have some social media and other ways to support the show, and we'll tell you about that at the end of the show. So let's get wheels up, baby. Start bombing. What do you say, Ace?
I was still trying to think of some more Dio references.
Mm,
Once you get me Dio-ing, it's...
Jesus Christ.
You know that song, Last in Line? It's a great song.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't think I do. Oh, yeah, I do know that one. So we have got a super cool episode today, I think. Actually, Riley, you can attest to how long I've been talking about this episode and like how excited I've been about it.
You
It's
won't
been on
shut
our shit.
up about
It's been on our list for a while. And by the way, the more I got into the research of this, the more badass it got.
The more manic he got, the more like he just had bloodshot eyes. He hasn't shaved in weeks.
I look like shit. I crawled out from
Calls
cardboard box under the overpass.
Calls me at all hours of the night. Just like, you don't understand these Russian women.
I'm standing out in the front yard in my underwear, just holding my computer in one hand and flailing my other arm about.
Looking like Gandalf.
Yeah.
Is it secret? Is it safe? I did one. I did one.
You did it.
Yeah,
You did
look
it.
at
Hey.
you.
You know when he comes up and he looks all fucking
Yeah,
haggard?
everyone knows.
That's what Patrick looks like right now.
All right. So, as you, Riley, and probably some of our listeners who pay attention to what I say know, I really enjoy World War II history. And that's what we're talking about today.
Oh,
more or
do
less.
you?
I do.
Man between the ages of 35 and 50?
I have an interesting theory on that. It's largely because of this podcast. People who are younger, like, my son's 19, around that age range, don't really give a fuck about history. And I think it's because,
Because they're all stupid.
well, no, I think
'Cause
it's
children
because
are the worst.
I think it's because they've gone through elementary, high school, college, whatever. And it's been sort of like this mandatory thing you got to learn. And it's also, like we've talked about before, it's taught in such a disjointed way. It's not really chronological. They don't really teach it with like some college level history classes do. But, they don't always teach like what contextually in different areas of the world or different areas of the country
I had a
contribute.
college history class that taught from like essentially the beginning of time, but it was also like lecture based.
Mhm.
So it was really just this one guy who was a very charismatic guy, but he just fucking ranted for 15 classes.
Yeah.
for
I just
2
did
hours
an
at a
online
time.
version
Yeah.
of that.
I had a professor like
Yeah.
a history professor like that too. But as you get older, certainly this applies to me. and you have a little bit more also like when you're that young, when you're like elementary, middle, high school aged, things that happen 20 years, 15 years before you were born seem so far away because that was when I was born. Now I'm, 15 or whatever, and I'm in high school. It's not that long ago.
Ghostbusters
you know what I mean?
seemed so old when I was a kid.
Well, it's like the day that I realized that
It's literally how I gauge time as a child.
the day that I realized that the Civil Rights Act of 1964 happened 16 years before I was born.
Yeah, not.
And I'm like,
that's nothing.
whoa. So like, I think as you get older and these things sort of like you have a better concept of time and like how quickly 20, 30, 40 years go by, then the context of that shit and like how small a lot of our recent history is and how like, especially in this country, how quickly all these things went down, it gets a lot more interesting. That's my theory.
Yeah, I think as you get older, too, just like once you understand the world that's in front of you a little better, you've got like a pretty good grip on it. Then you want to understand things that have happened to lead to this point as well. It's like you can start a movie with a really exciting action sequence, and then you get the record scratch. It's like, you're probably wondering how I got here.
You and your record
I think that's
scratches.
just our intros is what you're talking about.
Those don't happen in real life usually, Riley, just so you know.
So anyway, I love World War II history, and like I said, that's what we're talking about today. But we are what? Go ahead.
You referenced 16 years before you were born was when the civil rights.
17.
Yeah.
I was born in 81.
Okay, well then, so 17 years ago from now was 2008.
Yeah.
Right, 2008. People might remember marked the election of Barack Obama as president of the United States.
Yeah, it was a big thing.
Also, the release of the film Iron Man with Robert Downey
The first
Jr.,
Iron Man?
which would mean that from the civil rights movement to your birth is the span of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's it. That's how we tell time now. Also,
Well,
Bernie Madoff got arrested. Fuck that guy.
But yeah, well, who cares? So we are going World War II, but we are also going international today. We've focused really strongly on U.S. history up to this point, and that's good. and
Fucking
all.
sick of it.
Yeah, but there's
America.
like a whole fucking.
It's been a bummer the whole time.
There's a whole world out there with other history, so we got to get into that from time to time as well. And the Night Witches are going to be a fucking super cool entry into that category. So
The who?
the Night Witches,
That's a cool name.
Zanuck Texan.
You want to talk about that intro at all, or
What intro?
What happened?
never mind?
But even
I had a fever dream earlier. Is that what you're talking about?
Why does my mouth taste like schnitzel?
And schnapps. It's my favorite restaurant,
Peach
Schnitzel and Schnapps. Come down to Schnitzel and Schnapps every Tuesday.
What if like all Nazis were really like that? just flouncing like, oh, schnitzel and schnapps. Ah.
It would make history a little more palatable, I guess.
It's just like these guys are so silly. How did they take over so much of Europe?
Why are they prancing?
What is this?
They did kind of prance. You see the marches. There's
Yeah.
like a little skip in there when they're
Kick, kick, turn, kick, turn, kick, kick, turn.
So, okay. The first person we have to talk about is Marina Raskova, right? Marina is born in 1912 in Moscow and has a fairly unremarkable upbringing. Her father is an opera singer. He's a singing instructor. Her mother is a teacher. Her aunt on her mother's side is a popular singer in Russia at the time. And Marina has aspirations to become an opera singer, which is pretty cool. By the time she's 18, she is working as a chemist in a dye factory. So, I guess opera singing
By
was
the time
just
she's 18, she's a chemist in a dye factory?
Yeah.
What
I
were you
guess-
doing when you were 18?
When I was 18,
I got really high at a buddy's house one time, and we were all in his pool in the backyard, and at his parents' house, who were very permissive and let us drink and smoke and do whatever the fuck we wanted. And I was in the deep end, sort of like with my elbows out on the, like I was in the corner, you know what I mean? With my elbows on the pool deck surface.
that was it. That's his whole 18.
I was
He's just
so-
chilling there.
I
The
was-
whole year there.
I was so drunk and high that I slowly nodded out and started going under the water and woke up to my friends being like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I don't know."
Taking a swim, bro.
And I quit smoking weed.
When I was 18, I was auditioning for my role as like a student teacher in New York that like I moved to New York for. That was like it was like 6-8 months of auditioning. And in between, I was eating a lot of Coracetin cough and colds because if you eat a lot of those, you trip your dick off. So I was
Great applicant to shape young minds.
yeah. Well, I also knew I couldn't smoke weed while I was going to work with children, so I was trying to wean myself off of that. While also
By tripping your balls off on cold medicine.
Yeah, delving into the strange and wonderful world of hallucinogenic cough medicine.
Does not seem like a slippery slope at all.
See, when you're getting when you're tripping out on DXM, it's different than those other drugs. It's because it's cheap and you can get it at the store.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna take your word for that for it because I'm.
Dude, I'm fucking 36.
I was gonna say I'm an old man now, so I'm not doing that anymore.
I've lived my life again already. I haven't fucking eaten a bunch of cough medicine and tripped out in like weeks.
So back to Marina Raskova. By the time she's 18, she's working as a chemist in a dye factory. She is married to an engineer at that same dye factory.
Damn.
And she's got a daughter. This is at 18. Her daughter's name is Tanya.
In Soviet Russia.
Yeah. Well, this is, what she was 19. This is like 1930, right? Her dreams of being an opera singer are gone after.
Fucking gone.
Well, she actually, when she was younger, she had a really severe ear infection that left her unable to sing. So that's why she ended up studying chemistry and ended up where she is, right?
Because she was just like, I just want to die. And they mistook that for something else. And didn't put her in the chemist program.
All right. Here you go, Marina.
Da, we have place for you. So in 1931, the year that her daughter is born, or I'm sorry, the year after her daughter is born, she starts working at the Aeronavigation Laboratory of the Air Force Academy in Russia. She's 19 years old. By 1933, she becomes Russia's first female navigator. A year after that, she becomes the first female instructor at Zhukovsky Air Academy, teaching navigation to, at this point, all male students.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. So kind of breaking some glass ceilings here. After some time at the academy, she ends up getting sent to get like flying lessons to learn how to fly. So she already knows how to navigate. She's already teaching young males how to navigate, and she gets offered to go and get flying lessons. She completes those in 1935. By the time she's done with her flight training, she's instructing navigators and pilots. She actually starts flying long-distance flights and setting records for several of those long-distance flights. This is the 1930s.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Like, pilots are fucking gods. Pilots are celebrities. Like, this is, like, flying is still new enough that people are like...
Was it 1918 was the first successful flight, right?
Yeah.
What?
So...
19...
Kitty Hawk?
Kitty Hawk?
By the way, the Wright brothers did not invent the airplane. The airplane was invented by a Brazilian guy.
The Wright brothers performed the first successful flight in an airplane.
Whatever, shut up.
Which is, I don't know, you could call that, I don't know, inventing the airplane probably, because otherwise it's a land plane.
So she sets she sets a few records, and she is being referred to as Russia's Amelia Earhart, right? Pretty prestigious career for, I don't know, she's fucking like 24 by this point, right? 24, 25 years old. The most famous of these flights was when Raskova and two fellow females decided they wanted to set an international women's record for straight line long distance flight.
We fucked up. The Wright brothers flew that plane in 1903.
Okay.
Still, less than 30 years.
Yeah. Pilots are still, but to this day, pilots kind of have that God complex.
Yeah. Because they soar majestically above the clouds in a way that mankind was not meant to do.
Right. Exactly. So these three women decide they want to
scoff at God. They spit in God's face.
I've met some real dickhead pilots. I've met some very nice pilots too, but I've met some real like, it's a lot of times it's the like the Air Force guys, the guys that flew like fucking jets, like fighter jets. Those guys have like a real like I'm the shit.
Which is funny because like I wouldn't be intimidated by a pilot if they were offending me, because all you would have to do is take away their ability to fly. It would ruin them. One eye, one ear. They're the weakest people in the area.
Jesus Christ. So anyway, like I said, these three women decide they want to set the record for this straight line long distance flight. The flight distance was 3,695 miles. and it was a 26.5-hour flight. But
This was in 1930 something?
this is 1930, somewhere in the 1930s.
3,600.
That's
3,695 miles, almost 3,700 miles, 26.5 hours flying. At the end of the flight, Raskova was in the navigator's cockpit and the visibility was absolute shit. So she couldn't find the airstrip. The plane they were in is called the Tupolev ANT-37, and it had no doors from the cockpit, from the navigator's cockpit to the rest of the plane. And that same navigator's cockpit was particularly vulnerable in a crash landing. If you look at that plane, it's like your classic like 30s bomber looking plane with that glass dome in the front because the props are on the wings.
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's got that glass dome in the front.
Yeah.
That's where she was, right?
Oof.
And I
That's
believe
a long flight too.
Yeah. So, and like I said, that spot is yeah, no shit. She went in at the beginning of the flight.
Yeah.
There's no door from the navigator's cockpit
It's
to the rest of the
literally
plane.
it's like from here to Seattle, like from
Right.
here in Florida to fucking Seattle,
Right.
Washington.
So
yeah.
the other two women are pilot and co-pilot, and Marina Raskova is the navigator, right? Visibility shit. Couldn't find the airstrip. She has no way to get in the rest of the plane, and she's in the navigator's cockpit, which is particularly vulnerable if you have to crash land that plane.
Yeah.
I did some cursory research on the plane. Like I said, that's where we get the glass dome and the props on the wings. I'm not sure if the navigator's cockpit is in that glass area, but either way, they're at the end of the flight. They can't locate the runway. Presumably, they'd be low on fuel after 26.5 hours, I would imagine.
I think maybe.
And
They just
they
flew across a continent.
Yeah, and so they just had to bring this thing down, right? And Raskova, like I said, in the most vulnerable part of the plane with no exit, but fucking out. So what does this badass fucking bitch do? She parachutes out before the other two ladies land the plane and spends 10 days out in the woods trying to find it. She forgot to grab her emergency pack, so she had almost no fucking food. 10 days out in the woods, finally finds the airstrip. The rescue crew had found it didn't find the airstrip, found the plane where they put the plane down. A rescue crew had found it 2 days before she did, but luckily for her, when she located the plane, everybody was just like there waiting for her. They're
Nice. Like, she'll get here.
Yeah. Oh, hello.
Oh, hello. A long trip.
Those three women were decorated a couple months later with the Hero of the Soviet Union Award, which is like the highest distinction in the USSR at the time. They were the first women to ever receive the award, and we don't see another woman receive that award until after World War II. And spoiler alert, we got a bunch of them in this episode.
Nice.
So fast forward to the summer of 1941, right? Russia enters World War II. Well, the Germans invade Russia.
Yeah. The thing is, 6 of one, half dozen of the other there.
June of 41, Germany starts invading Russia. They
Which
do some
historically, I believe everyone's in consensus, that was a bad idea. Probably shouldn't have invaded Russia.
Yeah.
In fact, all invasions of Russia, usually historically, you could say,
yes.
Maybe not a great idea.
You're not prepared to hold that amount of land
it's too
in
much.
that
Yeah,
in that
it's
weather.
too much.
June, they attacked in June. Guess what? By fucking September, that bitch is frigid. It's cold as shit by
Yeah,
September.
it's 0 degrees 9 months out of the year.
Exactly. So Russia enters the war. Not that they have much of a choice in the matter, but at the time, Russia didn't have any rules about women in the military per se, but it does frown on women in combat positions, right? There's no formal rules about it. They don't have any existing rules that are like women can't be in combat positions. But they basically tie any women who are trying to get into combat positions in a bunch of red tape and delays and blah, blah, blah. They wouldn't really let them do that. However, Marina Raskova knows a dude named Joseph Stalin.
Oh, hey, that's a good connect.
Yeah, kind of.
It's like a good in when you're living in Soviet Russia during
right.
World War II. That's like a particularly good...
Yeah, that's kind of the guy to know. So she makes this big speech about how Russia needs to allow female pilots to join the war effort. It wasn't a big thing about equality. It's literally, her speech was about practicality, right? We need women. We're spread too thin.
It's very
Women
Russian.
wanted, 100%. So
sorry, it's a very Russian thing.
Oh,
It's-
100%.
It's like very happy to stay out of the war until a necessary point, but now we have logically come to the point where women should be flying in. We
Right.
have to do it. So
Exactly.
here are the facts, here are the figures, and moving forward stoically.
Is for practicality. We must do this. So This is a very, very practical speech, right? We have these people, they want to do it, let us in, right?
Yeah, the night witches practice practical magic.
Stupid, dumb fucking asshole. So after she makes this speech, she meets with Stalin to convince him.
If you're going to call me a dumb asshole, please do it in a Russian accent.
Stupid, dumb asshole.
There you go.
So she meets with Stalin. A month after her speech, Stalin announces the creation of the 122nd Aviation Corps, which will have all female pilots, navigators, engineer, and support staff.
It was
Nice.
all female.
Yep. So the 122nd has 3 regiments: the 586th Fighter Aviation Regiment, the 587th Bomber Aviation Regiment, and the 588th Night Bomber Aviation Regiment, right? The 586th and 587th eventually integrated men into the ranks, but the 588th remained all female through the war.
Dude, that's crazy. Because in America in World War II, it was like women can work in factories, you know,
Build us tanks.
or you can like be a nurse or a typist,
Yeah.
you know, but like you can't like fight.
Yeah.
And in Russia, they're like, yes, Russian women strong.
Give her an 8K.
Give Kalishnikov to her. Send to front lines. So the planes that each of these regiments had are pretty important too, right? 588th was a fighter pilot regiment. So they got the best fighter planes available at the time. Specifically the Yakovlev Yak-1,
The Yakov Smirnov?
Yak-B or Yak-7B, and the Yak-9, which if you pull up a photo of the Yak-9, it's like a fucking World War II fighter plane. Like it looks exactly like what you would if you're imagining one right now. That's what the Yak-9 looks
Big
like.
red star on it.
Yeah. So the 587th, which by the way was commanded by Marina Ruskova for the first year plus, had the best of the best, brand spanking new. Dude, I'm going to ruin so many of these, and I'll probably accidentally slip into like a Russian accent when I'm saying some of these names. They had the Petlikov PE-2 bombers. By the way, like much to the dismay of a lot of the male bomber regiments who were running missions in like older, more obsolete planes. Like they were like, these ladies are getting brand new fucking bombers, and we've got these
all the
old
good shit.
Yeah. Giving them to
He's
ladies.
bullshit.
This is bullshit. Why you give to ladies? We have been doing this for a long time. 2 weeks. Yeah, they've got, so they're just already, there was some flack from the beginning. We're not going to get too much into
Hey, that was a
like,
joke.
we're not going to get too much into like the part of like the, you know, the equality and, you know, the shit that they had to deal with from the
Partially
men.
because we're not that well versed in it. We're not
really,
from Russia.
yeah. This was not very easy. A lot of this information was not very easy. I'll talk about that
Classified.
later. It's classified. Documents are sealed.
Why no new plane for Vanya?
This bullshit Amelia Earhart from Russia, she get new plane. Vanya have to fly old piece of shit.
Old rusty shit from Minsk.
So now we get to the 588th, right? They got a plane called the Polikarpov PO2. It's a slow, outdated 2-seater biplane, open on the top. It's a fucking World War era,
Oh shit!
World War I era biplane.
like a Red
Damn.
Baron ass
Yes.
fucking yeah.
Open with the pilot in the front and the navigator in the back, wide fucking open where you wear the fucking, you know, babushka hat with the goggles
Yeah.
and the biplane, you know, the 4 wings and the prop in the front. That's your classic World War I fucking, you know, bomber plane. So that's what they got, right? Like I said, it's a World War I era plane. They were primarily at this point used in agriculture and for pilot training, right? These were not wartime planes anymore.
Right.
In the military, they were nicknamed Kukuruzhnik, which I got several different translations on. One source said it means crop duster. One source says it means mule.
It means old bullshit plane.
And my Google Translate said it means corn cob. So
These old bullshits. Yeah.
either way, it's not really the nickname you want for your fucking bomber plane during a war. Like, you're taking
It's
the
like-
mule, the corn
I
cob.
just feel like it's like, you know, in the States, just be like, yeah, I'm just flying fucking bungus over here.
So these planes were legitimately plywood frame wrapped in like canvas cloth,
Hell
right?
yeah.
A single nose prop, 4 wings, 2 open seats. in Russia, flying at altitude.
Cold as shit.
Yeah, like Jesus Christ.
All you have to keep you warm is a bottle of vodka and your fucking zeal for Soviet Russia.
Yeah, right. Your zeal for fucking bombing Nazis, which that'd take you a long way, I feel
Oh,
like.
yeah, you give me a bottle of vodka and a fucking biplane, I'll bomb some Nazis.
Yeah,
That sounds good.
exactly. A bottle of vodka, here's your plane, the Nazis are over there.
Like,
Fuck
fucking-
yeah. Let's go.
All right, okay. I guess fucking, you got to drop the bombs by hand.
Yeah. Who's backseat? Come on, we're going. Okay, so when these aviation regiments were created, they were all completely filled with volunteers, right? All volunteer force. Russia ended up having over 800,000 women fight in World War II.
Russian women strong.
So, yeah.
Shit.
And you got to think, Germany's already marching into Russia, bombing and burning buildings, occupying Soviet lands since June of 41. They've already taken, at this point, Austria, Poland, France, Belgium, the Netherlands. The Blitzkrieg in Britain had just ended. That was 9 months of German bombing in Britain. So this is like very much an existential crisis in Russia and all of Europe. Once Nazis got to this point, all of Europe was like, what the fuck?
Whoa, mama.
To the point where now the Americans are going, well, we got these fucking Japanese guys to deal with, but let's see what we can get over there.
It's like, fuck, what are we more worried about? We got the Japanese or the Germans? They're both equally far away in different directions.
Exactly. So the 588th is where all of the least experienced girls ended up. They were all between the ages of 17 and 26.
Wow.
All volunteered to go fucking learn how to fly and bomb Nazis. These are young ladies, many of them leaving universities to sign up in combat roles.
I would have figured they would have gone from like 13 to 19 because, as we know, teenage girls are the scariest and cruelest
and meanest.
meanest characters on the
Fuck you,
fucking
Nazi.
face of the earth. Yeah,
I can attest to that.
Yes, they had nice boots. Like,
Oh
Nice
my
hat,
God.
dipshit.
Hugo Boss? I'm a fucking girl boss. Bomb. So honestly, if you're looking at the onset of this fucking regiment, the 588th specifically, it doesn't look great, right?
right.
Shit planes, young, inexperienced girls. You know, like their training, by the way, which would normally be years, was compressed into 9 months.
Damn.
And so, in terms of longevity, you know, also you're gonna be flying at night.
Yep.
Because these planes are so shitty, you're gonna get shot down during the day. So enjoy not seeing much in your open plane in the winter in Russia with
Not seeing.
Yeah. That was an accident. But thank you
Hey.
for picking that one up. Fortunately, these young women are pretty smart and pretty immediately started figuring out ways to use what they had to their benefit, right? Instead of focusing on this is bullshit equipment, like we're gonna get fucking shot down. This is stupid. Which is exactly how Russian women sound.
No, Russian women sound like, yes, I will fly bullshit plane. And I will kill them.
This is bullshit equipment. We're going to get crushed out there.
Well, I can do a Russian woman. Hold on. Where is Moose and Squirrel?
What?
Moose and Squirrel. No?
I don't
Rocky
know.
and Bullwinkle?
Oh,
Boris and
okay,
Natasha?
okay, I got
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. You went like back into the vault.
That
for
was
one.
old when we were young.
Yeah, exactly.
Moose and Squirrel? Like, Jesus, guys.
Okay.
not-
Obviously,
I have not seen an episode of Rocky and Bullwinkle.
You don't
in
need to. It's
easily
I
25
only
years.
said the one thing that you were going to remember.
Obviously, you've watched Rocky and Bullwinkle more than
You
us.
guys obviously didn't graduate from What's the Matter You? It's the university that they had in Rocky and Bullwinkle World.
Jesus.
What's the Matter You?
Did not know that. Would have never known
Nor
that.
did I.
Oh, you guys are real Shermans. I'm the Mr. Peabody in the room.
Yeah, I know
I-
that one.
yeah.
You're still stupid. So they looked at every shortcoming on their equipment as an opportunity, right? And that's like across the board. They were given hand-me-down uniforms. They were given like men's uniforms as hand-me-downs. And they were like, okay, we'll get some fucking belts around these big stupid pants and jackets, and like we get some stuffing in these big ass boots, and you know, we got this. It's all good. As for their planes, by World War II, night bombing was usually like a pretty high-tech endeavor. We've got radar and radios and,
Right.
and you know, the whole shebang. So 588th didn't get any of that shit.
No.
Their navigators used
They had a bottle of vodka.
flashlights. Their navigators used, I want you to imagine you're in an open plane. Their navigators used flashlights, paper maps, rulers, compasses, stopwatches, and fucking pencils. They also didn't get frivolous fucking things like parachutes.
Oh no, yeah, that's it's extra weight. You don't need that.
Exactly.
Not in the budget.
So you're probably not gonna make it anyhow.
So if they had to bail, it was just a situation where it was like,
well, out the plane.
Let's get this thing as close to the ground as possible, I guess.
Take a jump.
Yeah. So just to circle back, young and inexperienced, compressed training schedule, shit uniforms, crop dusting planes made out of plywood and canvas.
Hell yeah.
No radar, no radio, no parachute. Now, I guess, get out there and do some night bombing,
Hey,
ladies.
you get out there and make them roar.
Jesus Christ. It's fucking insane.
But I mean, like, also we're probably looking at this in a more like Western take, because it's probably more along the lines of like these girls are like, when can we kill them?
Well, also you have
yes,
again,
we can fly. It flies. I get in plane. I go. We kill.
we go up, we jump bomb, we come down.
Yes, do it at night. Yes, I understand. Can I go kill them now?
It's dark now. I can go. So, but I mean, you also again you have to look at it like there is a sense of urgency here, because this is, like I said, an existential fucking crisis. The Nazis have already done a ton of expanding through Europe, and now they are in our land.
Yeah.
So like, Russians didn't take kindly to that. Nobody took kindly to that. Well,
The last
Austria was kind of like, oh, come on in.
Yeah, the last. Oh yes, you can come visit. It's okay. We have family. Yes.
It's like letting neighbor in.
Now we're doing Russian accents.
I know,
for
for Austrians. It's like
No, I can't do it. I'm not gonna.
yeah, it's like letting your neighbor in.
Ah, let's get this schnitzel in the Austria and the Alps. I prefer doing the Russian accent, actually.
Yeah. So let's get into some fucking stories about these broads. Like I said, they were training for 9 months. So they didn't start running missions until June of 1942, right? October of 41 was when the Air Corps Division was created, those 3 regiments. So they start running missions in June of 42. A year after the Nazi incursion started in Russia.
Because it is slow going trying to invade Russia, it turns out.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I'd mentioned that they are smart ladies who figured out how to work with the crap they were given. So knowing that they had small planes that had no radio, they knew that they couldn't be tracked. They have no radio, they have no radar, right? So they can't be picked up by anything. The planes are too small to be picked up by radar. They can't intercept radio transmission because no fucking radio. So it's nighttime and we're already pretty stealthy. So let's fucking work from there, right? So immediately they're coming up with ways to make themselves more successful. They come up with another great idea. Fly close to the ground on approach, right? Just above the tree line as they're coming to wherever their target was, right? So they keep it fucking low. The planes weren't very loud.
Yeah, you wouldn't even see them coming over the horizon until they were
that
on
first tree is going to block everything.
Yeah, the minute that you see them is when they're dropping a bomb on you.
Well,
if you even see them.
there's the other thing, right? They would stay low so that they couldn't be seen coming from a distance. And like I said, the small engines on those PO2s are pretty quiet, and being closer to the ground also means that noise gets muffled by trees, the ground, shrubs, what the fuck else. So they also come up with this idea that as they get close, they're going to throttle up, get some height, and as they're getting to the target, throttle up, get some height, and that way, once they get to height, they can cut the engines, and those PO2s are so light that they could just glide down and literally just silently glide to the fucking target. And the only sound the planes would make was like this gentle, like whooshing. And like sometimes there was like a slight whistling from, they're called arresting wires, the wires that kind of crisscross and hold the biplane.
It's the same like whistling as like if you like whip a car antenna. Like,
yeah. Yeah. So that's all that they would hear is like this of the fucking wind through the arresting wires and the fucking
which is
whoosh.
Cool, because if there was any wind at all, you would like hear similar shit like that whipping through the trees and like branches. So like all night, Germans in the dark are just like, oh, these fucking crazy bitches are gonna burn
eventually
us
we
alive.
are going to get there. That sound is what caused Nazi soldiers to begin referring to them as Nachthexen, right? Which means night witches. They said that the sound of the planes gliding sounded like witches flying through the air on brooms.
It's not far removed.
Yeah. And like I said, the PO2 was so lightweight that it could glide free of engine power for like way longer than a metal constructed plane, right? By the way, when the crew of the 588th found out about this nickname, we're not sure if the Nazi soldiers were even aware at first if this was an all-female squadron when they came up with the name. But when the women in the 588th heard that nickname given to them by their enemies, they were like, yeah, you're goddamn right we're night witches, motherfucker.
Hell yeah.
I mean, like, honestly, the imagery is not very far removed. Like, it's such an apropos name because, like, the fucking planes are made out of like, wood and cloth.
Yeah.
You know, they're gliding quietly, silently, aiming to kill with like fucking magic, with chemical reaction bombs, you know, like fucking
dropping destruction from the sky.
Exactly.
Yeah, dude.
Is there like any, Riley, is there any movie or anything on this? Like,
No.
this is
I've
one of the
never
few topics
seen-
that you've come up with that
No.
I know nothing about right before today. Like, I'm learning all this right
I mean,
now.
I will say that if there is a movie, maybe could probably find something
I don't
somewhere.
but it
believe there
wasn't.
is. It's not like huge in the zeitgeist. It's definitely
It's
not a movie.
They're well known in Russia.
Yeah.
They are not well known here. And I have a little note on the research for this that I'm going to get into.
I mean, just the imagery of them, you know,
It's
climbing-
so fucking
climbing
cool,
up
right?
and then
Killing
cutting the engine. Because, like, dude,
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
just
bunch of 17, 18,
Yeah.
19,
Yeah.
20.
cinematically, like, lay it down, right? Like the camera would be following them with like music and like and they're flying, and then they swoop up, and then the music and the
Music
camera
cuts.
would
Yes,
cut
thank
out at
you.
the same time.
Yeah.
It's so good,
So fucking cool.
yeah.
Just on an unsuspecting fucking camp full of Nazi
and also
soldiers
just the fucking
sitting there minding their business,
the
talking about how
sphincter
good
clench
Luftwaffe
of
night
fucking-
was.
The sphincter clench of fucking, like, you reach that peak and cut the engine, and you're just
like Christopher
Here we go.
Nolan's sound design.
yeah, exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
Like, that's good stuff.
Dude, you
Get a
could
good
make
Hans Zimmer like tick 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 soundtrack.
Yes.
you could make a killer. You know what? Probably
Nolan, if you're listening.
some Hollywood studio probably already has a script that they bought and it's just sitting there on a fucking
Right.
shelf. So
yeah, and they're gonna fucking make it and then put it on a shelf because they get a higher profit margin
Yeah.
if movies don't get released or some shit like
Jesus
that.
Christ.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm looking at you, whoever shelved Peter Dinklage's fucking Toxic Avenger.
oh, that's right. Didn't they say they're going to do that though?
It's done. It's on a shelf.
Like they're going to release
somewhere.
it though?
They're never gonna release it.
Oh, God
They did
damn
that
it.
with another movie.
They did it
recently.
as Pharrell's fucking biography movie or something that just they just were like, yeah, we're not doing it. They do it with movies all the time.
Singer producer Pharrell?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so
Not as interesting as the fucking Toxic Avenger.
I grew up watching that shit, so I would love to see a movie, and I heard it was like brutal.
So
too. Like,
it's supposed
they
to be
went-
like
yeah,
fucking super gross, and
Yeah.
Peter Dinklage is toxic would be cool. Whatever.
yeah. Anyway,
I digress.
So another shortcoming of the PO2, right? Because the ways that these girls got the shit end of the stick doesn't really end, but they fucking made it work, dude. So another shortcoming of the PO2 is that it could only hold one bomb under each wing, right? So 2 bombs per plane. That additional weight was another reason for that low approach that they would do. So they only had a payload of 2 bombs per plane, and they figured out a way to address that shortcoming. 40 planes at the same time and multiple restocks on any given night.
It's not just one of these flying over a Nazi camp.
No, not at all.
See, that's the impression that I had.
They
A fleet.
they would set up camp as close to their target as they could get, right? Without getting found out. So
Yeah.
they'd real quietly like get as close as possible, right? And they would set up a base camp there.
Uh-huh.
And one of the good things about the PO2 was that you didn't need a runway. If you had enough, if you had like a
it's
short
it's
field,
light, so you can kind of like.
if you had a short field, you've got enough ground to taxi and get in the air and come back and land, right? You just a short clearing is all you need. So they would get as close as possible, leave the supply crew on the ground with plenty of fuel and bombs. Then they'd take off 1 minute apart and fly in groups of 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
If one plane would start taking anti-air fire from because eventually the Germans caught on to this shit,
Sure,
right?
yeah.
So as soon as they would hear or spot one, they had searchlights and anti-air artillery and stuff like that. So if one plane would start taking fire, the other 2 would dive in and distract. So they had their assignments, right? So the other 2 would swoop in and they would try and distract or take out the searchlights on the ground, and slowly, systematically, they would drop 80 bombs on their target,
Jesus Christ.
3 at a time, and swoop around, go back to base camp, refuel, get re-up on their fucking payload, and get it back in the air and go back. and they would try and time it in a way that the German camps had no way of like getting any sort of reprieve. Like as the last plane, like, so each plane would have 3 bombs, right? Or I'm sorry, 2 bombs, 3 in groups of 3, flying like a minute or 2 apart, taking off 3 at a time, pop, pop, pop. And then, like I said, first assignment, first one to drop bombs. If they started taking anti-air fire, the other 2 zoom in, try and distract anti-artillery, try and distract searchlights. And I have a whole part in here where I went over this.
Dude, and all silent too, like orchestrated, intensive.
Once they dropped their bombs, they had to crank the engine back
that's
up
why
so
you
they
said,
could
fuck
start.
out of there.
So
why you said 6 explosions earlier in the.
Yeah, that's why I said if we want to be historically accurate, we can only do 6.
We did 6.
We did 6. Yeah, if you listen to the intro, there's only 6 bombs. And then once the first plane would drop its 2 bombs, they'd switch places. Okay. Now that plane would run distraction, and another plane would try and fight. And I've got this all set further down, like specifically how they would do this. Right?
So sick because like also those German camps already know about this, so they're like, fuck.
Yeah.
And they're ready to, so as soon as like shit starts popping off, they're firing into the air, and these bitches are just like,
yeah,
boom, boom.
So like I said,
nine.
So yeah, like I said, they would try
save us, Hitler, mein Führer.
They would try and time this so that the German camp had like no reprieve for like hours. Like as the last of the 40 planes are dropping bombs, the first planes that took off are already circling back with fresh bombs. Refueled, restocked, ready to fucking bomb.
Honestly, it must for those German soldiers, that must have been the fucking mouth of hell because they can't fucking hear or see this shit. Everything's blowing up, everything's on fire.
And if they take out your searchlights, which was like the anti-air and the searchlights were the first things to go.
Yeah, I'll bet these planes were painted black as well.
They actually they would decorate them.
Oh yeah,
yeah. They would do like little whimsical like little paintings and
little
stuff.
Fairies and
yeah. They were fucking teenage and early to mid 20s girls, you know,
like unicorn stickers, like Lisa Frank shit.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
Like the fucking like the Trapper Keeper.
So like I said, pretty much nonstop bombing as they would go back and resupply 8 to 18 times on any given mission.
Let's get back. Let's fucking kill more of them. Let's do it. Go, go, go.
That's 640 to 1,440 bombs dropped on any given bombing rate.
Jesus Christ.
Right?
That's a lot of dead Nazis.
Yeah. So.
Not enough.
So we'll get into another thing that turned out to be pretty good about the PO2, right? As I'm sure some people are aware, the Germans had arguably the best fighter planes in the war, in World War II, right? Their FW-190 basically was like the revolutionary fucking fighter plane. And it was the whole reason why the U.S. started upping their game and coming up with things like the P-51 Mustang, which was the U.S.'s big badass. Those 2 planes were like the fighter planes, right, in World War II. But the Germans had theirs first. The Americans made theirs because they were like, what the fuck are we going to do about these planes, dude? So...
we are so fucked.
Yeah. The FW-190 was not their only fighter. They had others, but suffice to say, they definitely had air superiority over the Russians in the fighter plane category, right?
Dear listener, at this point, you may realize you're talking about 3 middle-aged men just geek out over World War II strategy. Just bear with us, okay? Because it's fucking cool and you know it.
It is. It is very cool. It is cool. And if you're not enjoying this, I don't know how to help you. So, I mean, it's got everything. It's got all the fucking, oh God, and we're going to get into so much good shit still. Just, this is one of those, like, do not turn this episode off until the very end because it's so fucking good until the very, very end.
With that, here's a word from BetterHelp.
What are we going to do when they actually sponsor us?
We're going to be like, look, we gave you a bunch of fucking freebies, dude. Like,
look at how many episodes don't have ads.
Yeah. Why don't you crack us off a couple more of those bills and put them in the fucking bank account and we'll keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, why don't you match Blue Chew?
So, okay. Germans, air superiority. And, you know, that sounds pretty fucking awful.
Air of superiority is right. We have so much better than you. We have
not an air of superiority.
Oh, I misunderstood.
So like I said, that sounds pretty fucking awful if you're a Russian in a plane.
Right.
Well, what the fuck? But here's where a group of resourceful, smart young ladies and their old crappy planes figured out some more cool shit. The PO-2's top speed was slower than any of the German pursuit jets' stall speed.
Oh, you literally could not fucking catch up to them because they're too slow.
In other words, the German planes couldn't pace the night witches without stalling out or buzzing past them.
Wow.
So they couldn't keep them in their sights long enough to fire on them because they'd be passing by them. And by the way,
they got to turn around.
And by the way, turning around is a longer arc, right? You like the PO-2 was so slow and so light that they turned on a dime. They were super maneuverable.
Yeah, because they're just fucking gliders, essentially.
Yeah. Talk about making the most of it like a shit hand.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah. So even if the German pilots could get far enough back, right, to like have time for a gunner to sight and fire, the PO-2s would just start doing evasive maneuvers, and they were so much quicker and nimbler and could just turn on a fucking dime.
You know, they're like those crazy dragon things from James Cameron's Avatar.
Stupid.
I'm sorry, is this not a good parallel?
Sure.
Right? The more primitive, you know, kind of less privileged people flying their cool shit against the otherwise, you know, futuristic and more intense planes and shit.
I want to say Toruk Makto.
Turek Makto, yeah, was it Last Shadow? Yeah.
Yeah.
Turek Makto calls to you, my Jake.
Jesus, my Jake
Jake.
Sully.
I saw like a camera rip of that movie once.
Dude, that movie fucking rules.
It's Fern Gully.
You don't like cinematic
thank you.
adventures? I'm so sorry. Haters.
It's Fern Gully.
You're hating on the most successful movie of all time, you know.
Is it still or
Yeah,
has
well, no,
Marvel
now,
debunk that?
No, now the more successful one is Avatar 2, The Way of
No,
Water.
that
There's
didn't beat
no
it, did
way
it?
that made
Some shit.
No way. I
I'll
don't
look it
believe
up.
that.
I don't know.
I don't believe. I'm not going to look it up.
overrated. Let's
Every
move on.
movie James Cameron makes is the fucking...
I like
Somebody-
it.
Well, James Cameron's The Night Witches is going to be so fucking good.
I would watch the fuck out
I
of
would
that,
watch
but
the
he's
fuck out of
like,
that.
Watch it be the exact same movie as Avatar, just set in the Soviet Russia.
He just literally like just CGIs the fucking changes the shit. All the scenes, all the angles are all the same.
This
girls.
flying dragon is bullshit. But Jake Sully, Turek Makto.
Yeah, you don't even have to change fucking Zoe Saldana's fucking Jake Sully.
Jake Sully.
You have to fly to Rokmakto and kill Nazis. Also, you are woman now. Jocelyn Sully.
Excellent.
All right.
Ewok calls to you.
Like I said, much more maneuverable, which is really good news because another thing the PO-2s didn't have were machine guns for air battle.
Fuck. No, that they should have.
They had no way to return fire.
Wait a second. Did
What's
they have pistols?
Probably they would carry grenades. They would like keep grenades in their lap just in case if they already did their bombing, they'd be like, "Yeah, fuck
Oh,
it."
that's sick though. Imagine like a fucking a jet zipping past you and you're just fucking grenade.
Yeah,
Boom.
It's
Pulling the
very,
pen and counting.
very fucking
Just
GTA.
toss that and do a quick fucking drop left.
Yeah, super GTA vibes on that.
Yeah.
Just
Then you
tossing grenades
just
out of a
flying
plane.
your plane, shooting your fucking your Russian made handgun.
Fucking jet.
Yeah, that's fucking badass. They didn't have the machine guns, and they were really fucking rickety planes. And like, if a German plane did manage to hit it with a tracer round, which has an explosive in it,
Sure would just
It
tear
was-
it to shit. Right?
it was up in flames. It would
Yeah.
catch that canvas, and it would
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
because they had
Fucking
an
throw a
incen-
cigarette into that thing.
yeah, it
probably
had
fuck
an
up the
incendiary
flames.
round. So as soon as the incendiary round would explode, then everything's on fire.
Now, were they smoking the whole time in there too? Is my other question.
I don't know.
They may have been. They may
fucking
have been just fucking
Cigarette hanging out of everyone's mouth, just flicking it out, up and out.
Yeah. So these girls were outmaneuvering German fighter pilots in these crappy old, they used to call them, the girls would call them coffins with wings, and flying 8 to 18 individual bombing missions in a single night. And it was just fucking insanely frustrating
Wild.
to the German pilots because they had no fucking answer for it.
I also like you saying like if a tracer round or some shit fucking hit one of these planes and just go up.
It would go up in flames.
Fucking
So you've got to get it down before you lose lift from
I-
your wings because the wings are wrapped in canvas.
it's hard for me to put this into like human terms so much because like even in the thick of this, it must have felt like a full on cinematic fucking badass.
Like in real time, like actually doing it.
Because you're
of course.
going, because obviously they know the fear they're inspiring. They know the effectiveness of their technique. The Germans are like, these bitches are fucking scary, and we're fighting them. And like even thinking like we're probably not going to win this
witches.
shit.
They
because
called them night witches. How
these-
badass
and they've
of a
been like
nickname is that?
wiping out their fucking guys left and right. So they're like, we're fucked right now.
Yeah.
But like, if you're flying next to like your, whatever term you would use, like your sister or whatever is fucking flying next to you, and then a fucking round hits her, and she's whoosh, and, and you're like, ah!
God.
It's like Star Wars when Porkins gets hit.
Oh my God. Well, yeah. So the German troops on the ground were affected even more viscerally by the night witches than the fucking pilots were, for obvious reasons. The 588th was basically doing bombing sorties nightly. And we get, like, when we get into some of the numbers that they achieved, it's kind of fucking staggering that these women in their teens, early to mid 20s, what they were doing and exactly how effective it was, right? Ground troops oftentimes wouldn't sleep at night. They'd jump at the slightest sound. And if they heard a whooshing sound, they'd flip the fuck out.
Yeah, the wind like through the trees and just whoo.
So these night bombings were not only systematically taking out targets, they're also psychologically fucking up Nazi troops as well.
Fucking Inglourious Bastards.
Just from a morale standpoint, not getting sleep is not how you win a fucking war. You know what I mean? You're already on the edge in the front line of a war to begin with. You're not sleeping or barely sleeping because your camp or your supply warehouse or your fortified river crossing or whatever might go from dead silence in the night to explosions and hellfire with absolutely zero warning. Just you maybe hear like a and then suddenly shit is blowing up all
like
around
fighting
you.
ghosts.
Yeah.
It's like in The Lord of the Rings when Aragorn got his army of the dead and then swept the fields at Pelennor.
Yeah, what say you? Do you fulfill your oath?
And I can't remember what he says. It's like, yeah.
I just remember
I'm gonna have to.
they just disappear.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then it leaves you on the cliffhanger, and then it goes back to the battle of Gondor.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, you see Aragorn and Gimli and Legolas get off the ship. They're talking shit.
And then that's when Legolas does that sweet slide down the Oliphant's trunk.
The orc commander is calling them river rats, thinking that it's actually the guys on the boat.
You get Peter Jackson cameo in there.
Yeah. And then as they charge, then suddenly the army of the dead comes.
Yeah.
Damn, it's been like several years since I've seen these movies.
Dude, there's still like an hour and a half left of the movie when that happens.
Yeah,
no,
easily.
I know, but I'm just like I'm feeling the itch to.
Yeah. I watched the first two over Christmas. I didn't get to return though. I should probably watch that tonight.
Which one's your favorite?
My favorite, that's a tough one.
Oh, that is a good one.
I think cinematically, my favorite is Fellowship, just because it's just so beautifully constructed.
It is.
It's a little slower, but it's just like so gorgeous.
Yeah.
And they're all beautiful. I would
Return of the
say
King.
Major nostalgia.
Return of the
vibes.
King is a fucking slam bang action
action-packed.
thrill ride. But I'm gonna have to say my favorite is Two Towers.
Really?
Yeah, because of the fucking battle at Helm's Deep, man. That thing is unstoppable.
That's true. That's
Unstoppable.
Helm's Deep is the best battle.
And then
they've done.
also you get your introduction into Rohan, which
get a lot
is
of
just the
Saruman.
sweeping all of the music.
A lot of Saruman being a fuck bag.
A lot of that shit. It's so fucking good.
They're all good.
Yeah, they're all good.
They really are.
if we're talking about the three.
Yeah, what's your favorite, Drew?
I mean, I get the most like nostalgia for my youth and like a time I think out of Fellowship. I don't know, man. I'd have to let me watch them again.
Okay.
And I'll tell you. I'll tell you. Wait, 36-year-old Andrew.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, probably a kid meaning like a teenager when these came out. Probably Return of the King.
If Peter Jackson got hired to do a Night Witches movie, I would be fully on board with that.
I would not actually.
No,
because I think Peter Jackson's a bad director.
Do you really?
Yeah, it's not. But like you gotta.
Even though The
do you
Lord
think
of the
it was-
Rings is your favorite,
It's my absolute. It's a masterpiece. It's an absolute masterpiece.
Do you
But
think it was just
I
like
think
serendipity that made it?
he was perfect for that movie.
How do you fuck up The Hobbit so hard then?
The Hobbit is real bad. There's a whole thing.
he wasn't originally.
Well, yeah, it
Yeah.
was Guillermo
Yeah.
del Toro.
But there's the
del Toro,
thing.
right?
He should never have had to do that fucking movie.
Yeah.
It was
didn't
an
want
absolute
to.
mistake. But
Didn't the
also,
studio want to do 3 and make it this bloated fucking mess?
Peter
Yes.
Jackson. I know we're just kind of bopping into Nowheresville here, but Peter Jackson did these great low budget horror movies in New Zealand. He did fucking Dead Alive and a couple other
Great
really
movie.
cool ones. They're so fucking cool.
What
Really,
was the Frighteners?
the Frighteners.
I love
Great
love
movie.
The
It's a
great
Frighteners.
movie.
I just saw that just like last year, and there's some fucking rad like practical effect
so I
camera
don't
trick things.
understand why you're talking shit about PJ.
Hear me out,
PJ.
hear me out, hear me out,
Why are you
hear me
talking
out,
shit about
okay.
PJ?
Because then he made a movie, really fucking good movie called it's not Fierce Creatures, Savage Creatures.
No,
I don't know. Well, he made a movie about like lesbian schoolgirls that kill somebody, and
Cool.
it's really really good. And that's the movie that was like the guarantor that got him the cred to make Lord of the Rings,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then he got into Lord of the Rings. He started working with Weta Workshop and Weta Digital,
Mhm.
and he wasn't cheating because he only knew how to do practical effects at that time, and that's all he was fucking working with. But he made so many advances with the Weta Workshop, he started working very digital after that, and essentially even like his.
I was gonna say because they did a lot of practical effects
Yeah,
in Lord of the Rings.
exactly. But that was like
But
he's
not
like
on
we're
Hobbit.
gonna start doing that now. So the first thing they did was practical effects, and over the course of the production, they advanced digital effects so far. Peter Jackson's like, oh, we're gonna do that from then on. That's why The Hobbit is so heavily like green
So bad.
screen. It's
Yeah.
so green screen all throughout the shit.
Didn't Ian McKellen like break down on set?
Yeah,
because of-
he's like, this isn't acting. This is
Yeah.
I'm in a green room. What the fuck is this? You know? and coming off of working like the majesty of the sets of Lord of the Rings
Yeah.
this is insane.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, now everything he does is super digitized, and
Really?
it's just not
King Kong
like,
fucking sucked too.
you know, there were a lot of problems with it, and one of them was that it was just so digital. There wasn't
Heavily
there was
CGI,
like
yeah.
almost no like craft to like the effects of it, which is really a bummer because he started making movies off the original King Kong, which is Marion C. Cooper was like this brilliant stop motion practical effect guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, like he took his love of those things and then kind of like permuted it into this bullshit, and that's my rant.
What has he even done? We can probably cut this part, but what has he even done since The Hobbit?
He
Has
did.
he done anything?
Was it The Lovely Bones? I think was before that. The Lovely
don't
Bones
know.
also crazy was like it's like a personal story about a young girl that's murdered. And it's very like like heart wrenching, super digitized.
Really?
Like yeah, he follows her into like the spirit realm, and it's just like a green screen digital. It's fucking crazy.
Interesting.
He did some documentary stuff. He did a movie called They Will Not Age.
That was me.
Yeah.
I went.
Oh,
They will not grow old. I think it is like a World War I documentary that he like colorized and like he again a bunch of digital stuff to like get it to look frame rate wise like a regular movie. So like it's actually really fucking cool. You get to look at these soldiers in the same aspect ratio and frame rate that you would see like a modern day actor, so you can see them as more of like a real living person, which is cool.
okay. So I'd like to amend my statement. If Peter Jackson did a Night Witches movie and was not allowed to go stupid with the CGI bullshit, then I'd be on board.
I'd probably
Go
be
back
on-
to your roots, bud.
I'd be on board with that. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
What director would you want for a Night Witches movie though? That's the question.
Would I not want?
Which one would you want?
Which one would I want? I don't have the dearth of knowledge about directors that you do. So
I mean, of those
Dearth
currently
of knowledge.
operating, probably Nolan.
Nolan would be good.
Nolan would be good. He
probably
did
be fucking
Dunkirk. He
good.
did what was the other? He did another.
He did a bunch of fucking cool movies.
Well, I'm just saying, like I think he could pull it off
Yeah.
and make it interesting. He needs like sound mixing help though. Like his voices are always so fucking quiet in his movies.
here's one from left field. Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele
Okay.
would probably actually be fucking awesome.
I would trust him to do that.
He would get that shot. He'd get that shot
Yeah.
where the fucking music cuts out when they cut the engine. He
Yeah.
does the fall.
I would-
I just see like
trust him.
from like the top of the screen, and then you just see the fucking
Like you're looking like bird's eye above the
Yeah.
plane.
like almost
as
you're
it-
from the
so you-
German perspective, and then you just see this thing like swooping in.
Oh no,
Like,
I
you-
want that first swoop to be bird's eye above the plane. So you see the plane silently whooshing and you see the camp below that, and the fucking shot is from above.
Okay, that's
As you see that plane start to dive.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That would be such a cool first shot.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Anyway, where were we?
Okay. So I told you I had more specifically how they would do this, and here's where we get into it, right? So the 588th, what they would do, like I said, they would form in squadrons of 3 after takeoff. Once they had gotten to the target, they'd climb and get some height. By the way, the PO2s were also named Sewing Machine, nicknamed Sewing Machine, because the sound the engine made.
They went like
was
tick, 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 tick.
Yeah.
Perfect for a fucking Hans Zimmer score.
Yeah. So then 2 of the 3 planes would stall their engines and swoop in as decoys, right?
Mhm.
Those 2 planes would then draw any anti-air fire, any searchlights. They draw the attention of the operators of those specific things, right? And while the pilots were flying, the navigators in the back seat would scan the camp for the bombing target or targets, right? Once they had the camp's attention, once the spotlights are on them and the anti-air is firing at them and stuff like that, because they'd be side by side, once they got their attention, they'd fucking split in opposite directions. And in that moment of confusion where if you're you just spotted them, you've just got searchlights up in the air, you're just at anti-air and starting to fire shit, right? And then suddenly they go different directions. So nobody know which one are you following, like in that moment of confusion, third plane.
Okay, now this is where Christopher Nolan would be perfect.
That's what I'm
Because
saying,
it's
man.
just like in Batman Begins, where the guy's like, "Where the hell are you?" And Batman's like, "Here."
So, and by the way, in that time when they're flying over the first two decoy planes, the navigators would be scanning for the targets. They'd shoot a flare. Once they'd sight the target, they'd hit the target with a flare.
That could not be more cinematic.
That way, they split up. Third plane dives in, boom, drops both bombs, throttles back up, gets back in the air. They regroup, and the second plane goes in. So they dive, the one that just dropped bombs, and another one dive in, keep acting as decoys. The other plane with two bombs comes in. Boom, boom.
It's an Ouroboros of just death.
Yeah. So
I don't want to harp on it too long, but somebody needs to fucking make a movie of this.
I know.
Yeah, it's super cinematic.
I told you, I don't think you were in the room, Drew, whenever I told Riley, I was like, dude, it's such a good episode this week. Like, you're like, man, it's
this
great.
is fascinating.
So eventually, third plane would swoop in. Again, this is just confusion and fucking chaos. Drop its fucking two bombs, and then all three planes would whoosh away, reconvene, and start heading back to base camp. And guess what's right the fuck behind them? That next group of three planes, because there are 40 fucking planes total.
Because they're not stopping?
They're not stopping.
Jesus Christ.
So these three are going back to base camp, while the next three, get in line, baby.
God damn.
Fucking drop in. So they would do this 3 times, 3 separate planes, drop all 6 bombs. Like I said, go back, refuel, reload, address any issues with the plane, queue back up to take back off and go. And in reference back to the morale of the German soldiers, there are multiple stories of soldiers hearing the girls cackling overhead.
Yeah, cackling witches.
As they silently swooped in, or cheering and laughing when a target was hit.
That's great. That's fucking just...
So you want to talk? Yeah, you fucking something blows up and you just hear a girl just top of her lungs, like joyful laughter as your friends are getting fucking mauled and everything's exploding. Like, you want to talk about a fucking just wanting to crawl in a pit and hide. Dude, it was like, it's so fucking cool.
That shit is gnarly. I love it.
Like I said, imagine everything's peaceful 1 second, right? Everything's peaceful. And then there's this slight whoosh in the air.
Talk about schnitzel.
And all talking about which countries you want to take over next.
I now feel justified in filling that gap with a third whoosh. Because now that I know that there's 3 planes.
Yeah, that's right. You did that.
Historical accuracy.
That's right. That's right.
It was an accident. But.
It was, but it was well done. So yeah, like I said, everything's peaceful, and then all fucking hell breaks loose, and shit's exploding all around you. There's screaming and crying from your fellow Nazi soldiers, and cackling laughs from the sky as you continue hearing all this fucking whooshing and explosions and shit. It's the coolest, most fucking cinematic, awesome fucking possible thing you could think of. And these girls are all in their teens and early and mid-20s, dude.
Hey, if there's anybody listening that's just some random entrepreneur with a dickload of money that wants to take a chance, I would love to direct this.
Fuck yes. We will write this.
I'll write, direct, and star, okay?
I'll fucking score it.
I'll be a night witch.
I'll Hans Zimmer that shit.
I'll be a night witch. I'll be the guy sitting in the background, crossed-armed by my shitty bomber plane going, why do they... it's not okay. I should have better plane.
I will steal every cool cinematic trick I've seen in any good movie ever.
I've got one of those old Russian ear hats. So.
Oh, do you?
Hey, I've got one of the... I used to have one of those that I would ride around.
I used to have one too somewhere.
When I was working at this bar downtown, there's like a swanky hotel bar. I would wear like a professorial corduroy jacket, right, and like a tie, and like I looked, I had a brown fucking gold rimmed glasses and a nice haircut, and I would ride a scooter into town. And when it got cold, I would put on my hat, and I went to a vintage store and I got a vintage Soviet pin. and I put it right in the
Wow.
middle, so it looked like fucking Trotsky. It was great.
You're riding your fucking motor scooter through town.
Yeah, so,
That hat makes you want to do that.
yeah, it does.
So
I was also drunk on vodka the whole time. That's why I don't work there anymore.
Specifically just drinking Popov vodka.
Yes. Oh, yes. Прекрасно.
It's delicious. If you don't like, you're a bitch.
Белата.
Don't be a little bitch. Drink shitty fucking vodka.
And then also, incidentally, once upon a time, I worked with Jake at the pizzeria. We had this guy named
Jake Sully.
Jake Sully. You know, Jake Sully, Turak Makto. Jake Sully. We had this coworker named Elam Bakir. We called him Emmy. EMID, but D was silent.
Okay.
This guy drank vodka than a motherfucker, and we were just constantly shit-faced on vodka with this old fucking Kazakh man that spoke Russian, and he was always like, Bilat, oh. You get mad at somebody, be like, oh, these are donkey people.
Oh, wow. Hell yeah. Okay. These women, like I said earlier, are pretty well known in Russia. They have streets and buildings and memorials and all kinds of shit named after them in Russia, right? There's one woman in particular who famously kept a journal and sent letters to her family, and she wrote frequently, and a lot of those writings were saved. What sucks is that, for starters, these women are practically unknown here in the U.S., despite how absolutely badass they were. I mean, like, imagine how legendary these women would be if they were American World War II night bombing squad.
I mean, pretty cool. Yeah,
I mean,
that'd be everywhere. I'm sure Russia holds them in the same regard that we would hold
absolutely.
them. Yeah.
There's nothing I can think of that's more America fuck yeah than that. Like, literally nothing I can think of.
I mean,
Teenage and 20-something-year-old girls volunteering to go, leaving universities, leaving jobs, volunteering, condensed training schedule, and then going and bombing Nazis. If that was an American story, there would be 18 movies about it.
I mean, like,
Dude,
how many
like,
movies? Oh, God.
I truly think things might be different here.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, I don't know. I don't want to get too far
Yeah, no,
into that, but
Over here, they made the ladies just go make the guns, sweetheart. Go build us some missiles.
Just off the top of my head, like, how many movies can I name that are about, like, a ragtag group of fucking underfunded, rogue soldiers?
A League of Their Own.
I was thinking like the Dirty Dozen, Inglourious Bastards.
I was trying to think specifically of
I
ladies
just saw
movies.
a British one called the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. It's all like this small group of dudes that really fucks up the Germans. And they're awesome. I love those fucking movies. But like, why not this one?
I know. Well, so like I was saying, unfortunately, that they're not as well known here, and it sucks that so much of this info is kind of tough to find. Well, it's tough to find not in Russian, right? I found plenty
There's the crux.
I found a ton of source material in Russian, but there was no translation. And
shit, you should have just fucking hit up Jake.
That's
When
true.
we worked at that pizzeria,
true,
he found his wife, Irina.
Yeah.
Siberian
I did
woman.
not think about that. But like I said,
Shout out Jake and Irina.
I didn't have time in the 1 week to, I guess, either learn
That's
Russian.
Jake Sully from Avatar and Irina, the Navi.
We have an Irina in this story, actually.
Yeah?
Uh-huh. So, yeah, like I said, I didn't have time in the 1 week that I have to do these notes to, I guess, either learn Russian or manually translate. So I do try really hard to research this stuff in a way that comes from, like, a lot of sources, between the internet, magazines, books, whatever. My biggest fear is that one of our episodes looks or sounds like we're just regurgitating a fucking Wikipedia page. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hate that too. Like, I will definitely use Wikipedia as like a base.
Oh, I use it. I use it as
you gotta get multiple sources, watch videos, and read.
Yeah.
I've got a fuckload of books on Audible that I've listened to.
I use Wikipedia probably the least. I keep it up as like a reference and sort of just like an outline, just to make sure I hit all the things.
I start with Wikipedia if there's a Wikipedia article, and that's like you get like a good grounding, but they don't cover like the hot topic details that you really want to get into.
Exactly. So, unfortunately, when I first started doing this, like I usually do, I pulled up the Wikipedia page and had that set for my, I guess, outline source, right? And then I started pulling up other things. And normally it's not odd for me to sort of have my Wikipedia page and have like literally 10 to 12 different tabs open and try and go and sort of do my own outline, use Wikipedia to make sure I've got everything that they touched on, but frequently I find additional stuff in all the other source material.
Yeah, I've got fewer tabs open now that the like Pornhub has been restricted.
Oh no.
And like, you gotta
You
have
poor
access codes to like XTube,
Yeah.
X Hamster, RedTube.
Oh boy. You know all of them, huh?
I'm just like,
So when I started doing these notes, I was super disappointed that between Wikipedia and the handful of articles and videos that I was sourcing, they all kind of covered the same very basic facts. Like they were all regurgitations of one another. And that always annoys me when I'm doing a show. Is like, if I keep finding the same articles from different sources that they all use the same fucking source, right?
Which is usually a book or some shit. Like,
so yeah, and this is because the information about the 588th is so scarce and such a limited amount of it is translated into English. So when I fucking say that I deep dove this episode, I mean like the fucking Mariana Trench of the internet. Like I was on the ocean floor. And I did manage to find a decent amount of info that wasn't on the Wikipedia page or the history.com or whatever, like those sort of sources that I usually start with. So when I fucking plead with you guys to leave us ratings and reviews, I promise you guys I'm fucking paying it forward. I promise. Like I fucking
we're working hard.
Balls deep in this one. So anywho, I've gone off on a giant tangent.
And we all have full-time jobs.
And we, yeah.
And
families.
And families.
Yeah. So we have one young lady who was great at writing her thoughts in her journal. And I found some translations of some of those thoughts. And it was impossible not to just absolutely feel like a tremendous amount of just love and admiration for this girl. Like reading her stuff, her name was Yevgenia Rudneva, right? Everyone called her Zhenya. That was from Anna. I called my buddy's Russian girlfriend, who was supposed to be actually a guest today, but she wasn't able to make it.
Just got me. Sorry.
So hang on. Watch this. I kept it.
Yeah, be a hot Russian babe, Drew.
I'm trying. Fucking trying. 36 years I've been trying.
I saved this because I texted her and I said, is the Russian name, and I spelled it out. I said, pronounced with a hard G like Xenia, or is it kind of a Z and a J put together? I don't know any Russian whatsoever, but for some reason I want to say it kind of like Zhenya. Am I just making that shit up? And she sends this.
It's going to be Zhenya. Zhenya.
So that's Anna, and that's her guest spot on this show.
Thanks, Anna.
She'll be
Thanks,
back.
Anna.
Shout out, Anna.
She has a grandmother who still lives in Russia, and I told her that we have Joseph.
Was she
Stalin.
one of the night witches?
I wish. She was not. At least if she is, I didn't get that information. But she did say, because I said, well, we've got a Joseph Stalin, like at some point, if you have any opinion on that. And she was like, I don't really, but my grandmother and my mother probably do. And so she said she's going to try and get recordings of her grandmother talking about Joseph Stalin.
I hope she calls him a cocksucker.
We'll see. Anyway, so back to Zhenya, right? Everyone called her Zhenya. Zhenya was studying to be an astronomer. She was going to university in Moscow and studying mechanics and mathematics there. She volunteered to join one of the new flying regiments and fight Nazis at the age of 21. Honestly, listening to her writings read in Russian with the subtitles was aesthetically fucking incredible. Like I found a video where it was Russian female astronomy students reading excerpts of her journal and reacting to it. It was, pun intended, absolutely fucking bewitching. Like, I guess a prescient moment in 1939, 2 years before Germans attacked Russian soil, Zhenya wrote, so the Germans are already marching across Europe. So this is 2 years before they attacked Russia. She wrote, I know very well the hour will come. I can die for the cause of my people. I want to devote my life to science, and I will. But if necessary, I will forget astronomy for a long time, and I will become a fighter. This is
dope.
Fucking 19-year-old girl at this point. But actually, probably about 17, 18. And I get it. Like, I still have things that I wrote when I was 17, 18 years old that I thought were just fucking like incredible testament to like how fucking smart and intuitive and fucking like
Yeah.
how great my psychological and cognitive processes were.
I kept that shit for a long time, and then like last year I did a big purge.
I call it
Notebooks on notebooks.
Yeah.
I was like, "Fuck you, teenage Riley, you suck."
I call it pubescent philosophy.
Yeah, but it's like all my shit was like real bad.
And
Like
it's-
boof.
And it's super fucking cringy. It's super cringy when you get older and you actually have life experience and stuff, and you look back at what a fucking dork you were, and you're like, and I think that any intelligent human being should always want to beat the shit out of like their teenage self.
Oh, I liked
You know?
my teenage self a lot. I thought I was super rad. I'm just saying he was a shitty writer.
Yeah,
and wanted to be a writer
no,
real bad.
I can't tell you
Me
like
too.
Notebooks of garbage.
once I hit 30, like there's no point in my life where if I look back 15 years or so that I'm like I'd love to smack that fucking asshole. I would love to
I
just
was
slap
super
his mouth.
I think I was super cool till I was about 19, 20 years old.
I'm with you, Pat. I'd love
If
to
I-
smack myself upside the head
Yeah.
about 20 years ago.
And I feel like if there's any point in my life where like whoever I was 15 to 20 years prior, I think as you get older that sort of I guess timeline between the ages can extend a little bit because
Yeah.
but like especially your younger self, like I feel like if there's ever a point where I don't look back and go, oh God, I'd love to beat the shit out of that guy,
In
that
my
I've just stopped growing as a human
Then you're
being.
not doing it right.
Yeah,
In
I'm
the
not learning anything.
in my science fiction novel about time travel that I'm working on.
Are you still doing that?
There's an
You got new chapters?
I'm not doing the robot anymore. It's a different thing.
Ah,
It's time.
fuck.
It's time travel now. So
I liked the robot.
the robot's okay. I don't know. It's got a philosophical thing behind
Keep
it. that
writing
I
the robot.
I can't put my head around the philosophy of that because the times are too weird. But the one I'm writing now that is the time travel one. I've talked to you about this, Pat. You would have the possibility in my version of time travel to go back in time and beat the shit out of yourself without consequence, and you can pay for it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it. So anyway,
In my book, time travel is like an amusement park, and you can abuse time to your pleasure.
You told me about
yeah,
it.
we've heard this one.
Yeah. Imagine going back to yesterday and jerking yourself off, doing like a 2-person, what do they call it? The Dutch rudder.
I don't want to do that.
It's cool. It's
You
just
wouldn't do
you.
that?
It's just you.
I don't want to do
What's
that.
wrong with that?
Neither one
it
of
gay?
me. Neither one of me want to.
It's
do
gay.
That. Neither. Neither one of me wants to do that. The one doing the jerking and the one getting jerked. Neither of those guys are into it.
I also just made a great Kevin Smith reference that you didn't get. It's fun. It's from a movie you probably haven't even seen.
Is it the second Clerks movie?
No.
Which one?
Zach and Miri make a porno.
Nope.
That.
Again, when we were 17, 18 years old, writing all these things that we thought were so fucking prescient and so, so impactful, one day someone would read it and be like, "Oh my God,
Kid's a fucking genius."
it's more impressive for Zhenya, right?
Right.
Like
Because
we were
after she
writing-
wrote it, she went and killed Nazis.
Yeah, we were writing
makes it
dumbass
so-
shit in high school or like first semester of college. There were zero fucking stakes for us. You know what I mean?
If
There's zero
Zhenya had
stakes.
written an entire book of just like dick and fart jokes and then gone and killed a fuckload of Nazis, it'd be like, this is the greatest dick and fart jokes I've ever heard.
Yeah,
Still be profound.
there are actual stakes for Zhenya at this. Her way of thinking. She's making a decision based on what she sees as an inevitability. And by the way, she was right.
Yeah.
And also, when she found out she was right, she didn't kind of go, "Oh well." Yeah. She fucking
No, not for
She
me.
rose to it.
she fucking nutted the fuck up.
Mhm.
And so, like, she's writing this knowing that there will be Nazi incursions into Russia, or at least strongly believes so. And there were. And when it gets to a position where it's like, all hands on deck, she fucking goes. So in October of 1941, Zhenya, who has zero experience with planes, makes this decision to volunteer for the new flying regiments. And she's one of the girls who did that condensed training, right? Some of the women already had piloting experience, like Marina Roskova. So not all of them were new to this, but, we're talking about somebody who didn't. We're going to talk about some of the women who did have experience, but Zhenya did not, right? So she does this training, and we have another excerpt from her in January of 1942. Remember, June of 1942 is when they started bombing.
Mhm.
So she's still training at this point from October to June. October 41, June 42 was training. So this is January 42. She writes, On January 5th, for the first time in my life, I was in the air for 10 minutes. It's such a feeling that I don't care to describe because I still don't know how. It seemed to me later on Earth that I was born again on that day. But on the 7th, it was even better. The plane made a tailspin and performed one coup. I was tied with a belt. The Earth swayed, and suddenly stood over my head. There was blue sky under me, clouds in the distance, and I thought at that moment that the liquid does not pour out of it when the glass rotates. After the first flight, I seemed to be born again, began to look at the world with different eyes. And sometimes it even scares me that I could live my life and never fly.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, so she was born again in the fires of murder.
Is it bad that I wish Anna was here just to read these?
No, that would be great. Yeah, that would be great.
Like,
That would be cool.
and-
You should have been like, hey, can you read these on your phone and send them to us?
Watching that video, there's just this degree of like authenticity, and I imagine probably a lot of pride and admiration, like hearing a Russian woman read these like I did on that video. And it just, I feel like I read these and like, I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. But like, it's also because I have this sort of memory recall of listening to these girls reading this. So I don't know that it translates the same way.
Right.
You know? So anyway,
I don't know. I mean, just even listening to your old male ass read it, it was pretty.
That's pretty impactful. I'm
Yeah.
into that.
yeah. So this 20-year-old woman,
This would be
At this
great
point-
scenes in the movie.
yeah, right, for sure. So like I said, this 20-year-old woman at this point, fresh out of pilot training, having just left college where she was studying mechanics and mathematics to become an astronomer, but then decided that fighting an invading nation of Nazis was more important.
Badass.
So she signs up to be in one of 3 airborne regiments despite never being in a plane in her life. It's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Like, it's immediately endearing.
Mhm.
Like, immediately, you know? And of course, I've seen photos of this girl and everything, and she's a pretty young girl, and I'm just like, oh my God, dude, this, like, it's impossible not to admire this person. So she finishes training. She ends up in the 588th because that's where all the inexperienced girls went, and she's never been in a fucking plane, right? And she goes to the front line with the rest of her regiment, which was like 80 to 100 people at the time.
I'm still blown away by the fact that they're like, yeah, let's take the ones that have never flown before or have flown very little and
Put them in the worst.
put them in the worst planes and make them fly at night.
Not maybe split them up, put some experts and some newbies
Yeah,
over
like,
here, some
fuck.
experts and some newbies over here.
And give
so-
them the most complicated possible flight
Yeah.
techniques.
So, but yeah, she deploys to the front lines with 80 to 100 people in her regiment, which, you know, with a number like that, you very quickly develop close relationships
Yeah.
with these people. You know, it's not that many people. And these are like, these girls were not just flying, they were all the pilots, all the navigators, all the people taking care of the planes.
Mhm.
And they all learned how to do all of it.
Yeah.
Right? So the navigators learned how to fly too, the pilots learned how to navigate too. The ground crews learned how to like do some navigation and stuff. And they put the people who were strongest in the right position. So one of her fellow night witches was Yevdokia Nosal. Nosal was 3 years older than Jenya, and she had been a teacher prior to volunteering for the war effort. She had also completed civilian pilot training and worked as a flight instructor. So she was one of those women who volunteered, and she already had previous flight training and experience, right?
Mhm.
She joined she volunteered to join the regiment after a bombing on a hospital by German forces killed her newborn son.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, that'll put you in the war effort real quick.
Yeah, so she came into the fold on an absolute fucking tear. She had a personal goal of wanting to fly 1,000 missions, and she was known for being the person who flew more than any other pilot in the regiment. If it was time to get in the air, she was fucking ready to go. If it was a dangerous mission and they would ask for volunteers first, she was fucking ready to go. Nosal was promoted quickly from sergeant to flight commander, and then from flight commander to deputy squadron commander. On April 22nd, 1943, Nosal was conducting a bombing mission when a German fighter pilot got behind her, and between the anti-aircraft on the ground and the machine gun fire from the fighter, Nosal's cockpit caught an explosive round. The shrapnel hit Nosal in the temple, and she was instantly killed. Fortunately, her navigator was able to take the controls, get the plane back to base camp. Nosal, in less than a year on the front lines, had flown 354 missions, dropped 48 tons of bombs, and personally blown up a train, 3 crossings. She blew up a train and 3 crossings, in addition to just general explosive damage from 48 tons of bombs.
Jesus Christ.
and what 48 tons of bombs does to camps and cars and people and such.
In the movie, she's such a fucking dope ass
Yeah.
character, and her getting hit by that shrapnel is so impactful.
She died about a month after her 25th birthday.
Fuck.
That's the first thing I thought too, Riley. Is that
it's-
terrible?
Yeah.
No, this is an incredibly cinematic, like historical moment. Like,
Absolutely.
everything about it is just like as
Like
if
you,
it's
you
as
wish
if
you
made
could
to
write
order.
that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
You wish you could make that up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for real. And no, but I mean, like even that right there, the story's real good, but like that's almost like bad writing. It's so perfect. It's so perfect.
True,
It's
yeah.
almost like her newborn son got blown up in the hospital, and she
Yeah.
immediately like postpartum
Yeah.
is just like, I'm gonna go fucking kill them all.
I feel
Yeah.
like with this story and with the hypothetical movie, it would be a situation where you wouldn't have to fudge the facts at all, like they usually
yeah, you just
do.
fucking do it.
Yeah, just
you get some of
use
those
the
like
real stories.
war movies. Sometimes you get that. Like there's
Yeah.
there's a movie with Cillian Murphy called Anthropoid. That's about two behind the lines, I believe British soldiers. They get dropped in fucking Nazi occupied Germany or not Nazi occupied, Nazi occupied Poland,
Mhm.
and like from just getting dropped, just them two guys in suits.
Mhm.
They have to start like a small pod of resilience or resistance,
Yeah.
and like eventually try and disrupt like Nazi plans in Poland. And it's just those guys. And yeah, expectedly things do not go well, but it's just like the story is so intense and cold and driven.
Some of these historical stories, man, are just so, I mean, and
Yeah.
and it's just, it is what it isn't, but it's so difficult not to be like, holy shit,
Right.
like this is,
Like that movie Anthropoid, it's called that because it was Project Anthropoid was what they were doing.
Oh, nice.
Like it's that on the nose with
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
this is what happened.
back to Zhenya here. So Nosal's death was probably not the first death of a comrade that Zhenya had to experience, but we do know from her writings that this one had a pretty profound effect. Her bond with her fellow night witches intensifies drastically, and in particular with her favorite and closest pilot, who Zhenya calls her best pilot, quote unquote, and her name was Yevdokia Nikolina. We don't know what their relationship was beyond comrades who flew together, and maybe her feelings for Nikolina intensified because she and Nosal, who had just died, share the same first name, Yevdokia. But we do know that she wrote to her parents about Nikolina, of whom she said, "I did not previously suspect how much I love, more than myself." We don't know if it was like a romantic thing or it
Or
was
is it just that like
The bond of war.
yeah,
you know?
exactly. We get into more of it. She
In the
after
movie,
that,
it's definitely a romance, though. In the movie, that's definitely
For
a
sure.
romance.
her writings in her journal after that death, after Nosal's death, were very much more. What's the word I'm looking for? The camaraderie at that point. You know what I mean? Like she just it expanded a lot. So Yevdokia Nikolina, by the way, was also a trained pilot before volunteering. She had graduated from flight school 3 years earlier and was already a pilot for the Special Operations Squadron's Civil Air Fleet, where, working for the government, she dusted crops, she delivered mail, flew air ambulances, and actually in those first few months of the war before the new regiments were announced by Stalin, Nikolina was transporting wounded soldiers and flying reconnaissance missions. You know, remember, women could serve,
Yeah.
just not in combat roles.
Yeah, Russian women strong.
So she volunteered to become a bomber. When she did that, she already had over 500 hours of flight time logged. So she knows what the fuck she's doing. So Zhenya might have been right when she called Nikolina her best pilot. So she joins, does her military training, and at first was going to go to the 587th, right? They were also bombers, but in the better planes with the better tech and, you know, the ability to run missions day or night. The regiment that was not only founded by, obviously, but also commanded by Marina Ruskova. So Nikolina was headed there, but then just before the 588th flew their first mission, like a month before, she gets transferred. I don't think that this was punishment or anything. From what I could read, I think a lot of it had to do because she had extensive experience flying those PO2s, doing the crop dusting planes and stuff like that. Enough that she went in to, when she got transferred in, she went in as a deputy squad commander. And a month later, during their first night bombing, the Night Witches, the 580th first night bombing, their squad commander was killed in action, and Nikolina was promoted to that position. as
Yeah.
far as the whole Zhenya thing, it doesn't have to be a gay thing. Maybe it was. Who knows? That's not important. It doesn't fucking matter. By the end of the war, Yevdokia.
Maybe in the movie it's just implied. Could just be implied in the movie.
Yeah, because we don't have confirmation. This is going to be really factually.
But you
accurate.
could definitely do so. You could do some implications with
Sure.
wide-eyed admiration for the best
Yeah.
pilot.
That's some
Is it-
fucking music.
Yeah. Is it? I mean, it could just be how much you admire this person who,
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
is a few years older than you, but has so much more experience flying. Think about her reaction to flying for the first time. And then she meets this woman that's already
Seems to
got
be a very passionate lady.
500 flight hours, and as soon as they do their first mission, the squad commander dies, and this woman gets promoted. She's the best pilot, arguably. Maybe that's just Zhenya's words, but it seems like she's probably in the running.
Yeah,
based on
definitely. I
what
mean,
she's-
she got transferred into that squadron for
Yeah.
her expertise.
So by the end of the war, Yevdokia Nikolina had flown 740 sorties, dropped 105 tons of bombs, destroyed 2 anti-aircraft artillery, 2 searchlights, 3 crossings, 1 railway section, and caused 177 major explosions.
God damn.
She lived to be 76 and passed away in March of 1993.
This was
This was Nikolina, Yevdokia Nikolina.
Okay.
Yeah. Yevdokia Nosal was the one that
She's
died,
the
and
shrapnel.
she was kind of, she kind
And
of,
then Zhenya is like our kind
Zhenya-
of main character.
yeah, Zhenya's just who we have.
Jenny is
she's-
obviously the main character.
Yeah, I
she's-
mean,
well, she's who we have the journal
the
entries
character,
from.
the
you know
character
what I mean?
POV. Yeah.
Yeah.
we got to write this shit right.
she's who we have the journal entries from, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
she was good about sort of just jotting down her thoughts. She sent letters to her parents. She just kind of was one of the only ones, if not the only one, who sort of kept a diary.
Yeah.
Not every day, but kept a lot of her thoughts on paper. So I do want to get another Zhenya Rudneva diary quote in here because it's another really, I don't know, man. I'm finding so much beauty in like these journal entries because of my love for World War II, I think. But I also don't know if it's just being able to see this through like this different pair of eyes. You know what I mean? Or I just don't know. I don't know. Is it the gas station boner pills you gave me? What's making me feel this way?
Is it your
Are you fallen for this
No,
Russian
and
girl from
that's
80 years ago?
No, and it, when I was writing this, when I was doing this research, when I was writing these notes, I was so enamored with this person that I was like, the guys are gonna give me shit and be like, oh, you got a crush on this girl, and it's not even that. You know what I mean?
Oh,
It's
yeah, I
just
hear you.
like they're just such beautiful quote. I don't know, man. Just like looking at this shit through
Sure.
this person's eyes. I don't know if it's just an amalgamation of
Like
all
you
these
said,
things.
it's instantly endearing and
It really is
powerful.
yeah gay?
You're the one who gave me boner pills. You said they were Tic Tacs. Or I thought you said you were going to post it on TikTok. I don't know.
Take these pills and post it on TikTok.
I don't know. Just something about watching like this black and white footage and hearing the translation read, and hearing these Russian astrology students read these excerpts. It was just very beautifully done, that video. And I'll pull it up for you guys. And if you want, we can try and patch some of it into the episode. But like I said before, after Yevdokia Nosal died, Zhenya really felt these strong bonds with her sisters, right? She wrote about her love for Nikolina, specifically Yevdokia Nikolina, but her writings conveyed this intense camaraderie for all the other women in the regiment. But I really love this quote. A stupid thought occurred to me, even a paradox. Though there is war, with so much horror and blood, yet for me it is the happiest time. In any event, it seems that life in the regiment will be my most radiant memory. I have a dual life. My thoughts about the future appear hazy, but very bright. The end of the war is surely the main thing. She's writing about, as scary and fucking crazy as this time is, it might be the happiest time of her life.
Yeah, because she's a badass night flyer, fucking bombardier babe that fucking is like crushing it, fucking killing Nazis. Yeah, that would be anyone's best time. You'd have to be a fucking idiot not to think that was the coolest shit you'll ever do.
Yeah, I guess so. So on the night of April 4th, 1944, Zhenya Rudneva's plane was shot down.
Yep. I saw that one coming.
Yeah,
Character POV.
She was navigating for one of the newer pilots in the regiment. Both of them were killed. Zhenya was 22 years old.
Fuck.
Damn.
She flew 645 missions. I don't have the other stats, but she flew 645. Years later, her friend and fellow navigator for the 588th, Irina Rakabolskaya,
Rocky and Bull.
Rakabolskaya.
Rocky and Bull.
Rakabolskaya.
Moose and Squirrel.
Rakabolskaya. I feel like that's the way to say it. right?
Rakabolskaya.
Irina. She had the diary published in Russia. She had the diary. So she had that diary published in Russia. And then eventually some of the excerpts were translated into English. Not much, unfortunately. But Irina was part of Zhenya's squadron. When she was shot down, she saw the whole thing go down. So
That's when the character POV shifts. And then it's the person that's got the diary that you're following through the rest of the movie, which would only be the last quarter probably.
you know what's
the wrap up, but
Yeah.
you know what's really fucking cool?
Huh.
So I was going through, after I had finished my notes, I was going through and I was watching some other videos and watching, like, just like I said, at this point I had gotten into so many little dark corners of the internet that I was pulling up stuff that just putting in Night Witches didn't pull up for me initially. So I had all these extra sources and videos and stuff like that.
videos like Russian women like shot down in airplane.
No, so I actually found an interview with Irina.
Oh shit.
Not talking about Zhenya at all, just talking about the regiment, talking about bombing missions and stuff. And I was super excited because
Credits.
I wasn't actually looking for it. I wasn't even going to put Irina's name in here. Like, I wasn't going to really mention like when the diary got published or any of that shit. And then I saw that and I saw the name and it was, Irina Rakabolskaya, right? And I was like, holy shit, I know that name. And then I had to like go back to my notes.
Nice.
And I was like, because I was like, I know that name. Is that the friend that published the diary? Because obviously,
Dude, I'm getting tingles because
Yeah.
obviously the movie ends with her publishing the diary and then like looking through pictures or something, and as the credits are rolling, the pictures are playing, and then the fucking midway credit sequence, that's when the interview with her pops up as like a real person, as an old lady.
Yeah.
And
yeah, she was very old. She was just talking about the regiment.
It's a fucking perfect wrap up. I didn't write a single fucking thing about this. It is all there.
It's all written.
It's complete
Yeah.
with fucking cinematography notes.
I know.
This shit is on the table.
Jesus.
Where the fuck is that movie?
I know.
Now somebody would just fuck it up.
So
Probably give it to that fucking Jurassic World guy.
oh my God,
he
don't
sucks.
do that.
Ugh.
Colin Trevorrow.
Colin Trevorrow. Ugh.
Colin Trevorrow fucking sucks.
Yeah.
He
Dude,
everybody was like,
Hey, trailer for the new Jurassic World actually looks pretty rad, but it also looks like they're not going to do any of the stupid bullshit they've done the last 3 of them.
I didn't watch the last one.
Dude, it's so bad. It's so
The
bad.
one before that was bad.
They were okay.
They were all bad.
Okay,
The first one,
And the one before that.
The first Jurassic World had its points, but I was definitely
It was
disappointed
okay.
by a couple of things. There are a couple of things I was like, no, this is stupid. Why are you doing it like this? But you know what? Fine. You just want to do a one-off? Whatever. The second
the
one,
trained velociraptors. You lost me with trained velociraptors.
okay, cool,
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
I mean, I
Stop.
get it.
Quit it.
The second one, wow, this movie's bad. Why did they make this movie? Then the third one, okay, not only did you make a bad movie, you also wrapped up the characters from the good movies and you brought them into your shit universe and had them do bad things.
How many bags of money do you think they showed up to get Sam Neill?
Not only is it a shameless cash grab even for the actors, and you can tell. Like fucking, Sam Neill didn't need to be in that fucking movie and then get one-upped by Chris Pratt. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, suck a dick all across the board on that one. But then, so now you're raping my childhood to make your garbage money, and it's an offensive, just fucking stab in the gut.
Everybody, like, he was originally going to do I know everybody hates the fucking Star Wars sequel trilogy, whatever. He was originally going to do the third one, which, as bad as it was, episode 9 or whatever, it would have been even fucking worse if he did.
He's so bad. He's so bad.
I couldn't even tell you a single thing about. I know I've watched it. Couldn't tell you a single thing about episode 9.
Which one's episode 9? That's
Exactly.
the fucking
No, that's it. That's the end of this.
Rise of Skywalker.
That's the end of that sentence.
The way that movie sucks real bad, so bad, is encapsulated in a 5-minute period in which they kill Chewbacca off screen and then he's alive again.
Don't remember.
They wanted the drama, but they didn't.
And they didn't even give you the time to be like, oh shit, did they really fucking kill Chewbacca?
Don't remember that.
It was awful. It was so bad. It was so bad.
Yeah. All right.
They wanted the drama and the scene of her fucking doing the thing, and then they didn't want to deal with the ramifications.
Stupid, dumb, worst. Yeah, that's the problem with making 500 of a movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just take it, like, get it while the getting's good.
I
and then
would have
just
been
move on to
much
the next one.
happier if they just stuck with the original trilogy. I don't want to hear any prequel bullshit, Riley.
Use that creative energy to do something else.
What, you like the prequels?
No, I hate the fucking prequels.
Prequels are okay.
No.
If you had said you love them, you would have been like, they're terrible.
You know what's good about the No, I wouldn't know. You know me.
I know.
The casting was good. That was the only good thing about it. And some of the music.
The good thing about the prequels is that
Jar Jar Binks.
it expanded.
Fuck you.
Jar Jar could have been good. It could have been a good character. So the prequels, and this is a random rant I have, but they are orchestrated to be fantastic movies. The only thing that got in the way of them being good was George Lucas. George Lucas fucked those. He had these great concepts full of political intrigue, like
Jar Jar
space
Binks.
politics. Jar Jar Binks could have been a great fucking character. But then George Lucas is like, you know what would be great?
If we made it racist.
If we made it racist. Not
And
just
he stepped
that.
in shit.
We'll do some other racist shit. And yeah, we need some fucking physical comedy garbage.
I love that the
He's got to bonk
argument.
his head and then step in the poopy.
Yeah, it's like, oh, banta poodoo.
I think that was a red letter media.
It's so bad. It's so bad. And it's just George Lucas is like, yeah, so I've got this great, like, epic 3-part space ballet of politics and like interpersonal
Speaking-
connection, creating a lore that will encompass.
Yeah, that
you know,
already exists.
thousands
It's
of
called
years.
Dune. It's called Frank Herbert's Dune.
If he had done these movies the way that like they could have been done, it would have rivaled Dune. But instead, you got to step in the poopy.
I love that.
If he had not written them and probably not directed them, they could have been.
He's
good.
the
I'll give you
worst.
that.
George
I
Lucas
love
is
how the
worst.
argument for Jar Jar Binks isn't racist is he can't be racist. He's got a black wife. That's not.
My favorite is actually from the actor who played Jar Jar Binks.
Mhm.
Ahmed
he's-
Best.
Yeah, he said Jar Jar's not black. He's an orange frog.
Yeah, I want to know how many
That guy got
times.
so shit on.
I want to know how many times George
guy.
Lucas told him, "Yeah, just shuck and jive a little bit
Yeah,
more.
yeah,
Just
but-
shuck and jive a little bit more, boy."
You got this character. You ever see that movie Abbott and Costello Meet the
Jesus
Wolfman?
Christ.
They got a character in there who's a waiter.
Hey, we still have more episode to do.
Okay, keep going.
Okay,
Oh,
so
I'm so sorry to interrupt. That
Oh
wasn't
my
a Japanese. That wasn't a Japanese impersonation. That was the Trade Federation from
Yeah.
Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Mhm.
which was a Japanese.
who were clearly
impersonation.
supposed
No.
to
No, I'm saying George Lucas's.
They did a Japanese accent, but they were supposed to be Chinese because the Chinese fucking government, it's Chinese economy.
We are holding our negotiations.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Okay, so we got some final stats here on the Night Witches, right? Now that Jenya is gone and we're all heartbroken.
We did Lord of the Rings, Jurassic Park, and Star Wars on this one.
And Avatar.
And Avatar.
Yeah. So from 1942, June of 1942, when they started bombing, to October of 1945, a little over 3 years, right? The Night Witches flew approximately 23,672 combat sorties.
Holy
shit.
fuck, dude.
They collectively logged 28,676 flight hours.
Oh, that means that each of these sorties was like a quickie.
It was there and back,
Zip,
there
zip,
and back,
zip,
and
like-
there
like
and back,
within-
and there and
within a
back, and
couple
there
of
and back.
hours,
Yeah. And they dropped over 3,000 tons of bombs and 26,000 incendiary shells.
Jesus Christ.
They
In
damaged.
fucking plywood and cloth
Yeah.
airplanes.
They damaged or destroyed 17 river crossings, 9 railways, 2 railway stations, 26 warehouses, 12 fuel depots, 176 armored cars, 86 prepared firing positions, 11 searchlights, plus they made 155 supply drops of food and ammunition to Soviet forces.
Jesus Christ.
We got a body count or no?
We do not have that. But we do have, because I mentioned, the morale hit to the Nazis. And how do I know this? Because we've got some things that they said.
Oh,
They
So-
said like, mein Gott in Himmel.
Well, so for starters, we have to consider
Ein.
we have to consider 1940s Nazi Germany and sort of how they propagandized their citizens, right? So the Third Reich, with regard to Soviet women flying on the front line, stated the following in their propaganda videos. The Russians are doing very badly. They even force women to fight. But despite what their propaganda said, right, the Russians are doing very badly. They even force their women to fight. Their troops on the front lines knew the truth, that these women were some of the most successful bombers in the entire European conflict part of World War II. Every country that fought, every country that had bombers and planes, these women were some of the most successful.
Goddamn.
damn. So that's where you get your like 90s style, like as the credits are rolling or, before the credits roll, where the little blurb will come up about whatever the subject matter of the film was. The Night
Yeah.
Witches were one of the
Yeah.
most successful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Teenage and 20-year-old volunteers in
Yeah.
Russia, some of the most successful bombers. the Germans, had a couple of theories on how the 588th was so good at what they did.
They only flew on their periods to make them extra aggressive.
Theory 1, they were all criminals who were masters of stealing and had been sent to the front lines as punishment.
They got to be criminals.
Yeah.
No non-criminals could kill Nazis this good.
Theory number 2, even more ridiculous, they had been given special injections that allowed them to see in the night.
Oh, fuck
super
yeah.
soldiers.
Which is kind of cool.
I mean, flying
but
super soldiers, I
untrue.
kind of like that legend in general.
Yeah. Kind of cool,
Kind
but
of makes
super
them even
untrue.
like creepier bat women, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe we take like a Tarantino alternate history path
No,
and make them
no,
fucking.
no. This
No,
is
I
too
would do
good.
that. I would
This is
write
too
that.
good to
I
not
would do
go-
that cartoon. You know, if you were gonna do a fucking
There you go.
like a
Yeah, that-
cartoon movie where they could fucking see in the dark and use magic and shit, that'd be cool.
One of the Nazi commanders, whose name I didn't bother to type because who the fuck cares,
Fucking Rolf Hitler,
in 1942,
Adolf's younger brother Rolf.
in 1942, this guy commented, "We simply couldn't grasp that the Soviet airmen that caused us the greatest trouble were in fact women. These women feared nothing. They came night after night in their very slow biplanes, and for some periods, they wouldn't give us any sleep at all."
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
At the end of the day, if a German soldier brought down one of the 588's fucking slow ass PO2 biplanes, they immediately got decorated with an Iron Cross.
You
That-
got one.
That says everything you need to know. That Iron Cross was like the
Yeah.
top fucking thing they can pin on you as a Nazi soldier. If you brought down one of these planes, boom, Iron Cross, you got it. Thank you. One less to deal with. So by the end of the war, 261 women in total had served in the 588th. Of those almost 24,000 sorties that they flew, they lost a total of 32 people. And that's from anything and everything.
God damn.
They lost 32. In
32.
The
That's from
588.
everything though.
Christ.
That's from planes going down. That's from shit like tuberculosis. You know, that's just
Luke
your
Skywalker's Red Squadron lost more than that.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fucking.
So that's total deaths in wartime in that squadron, right?
crazy.
They had a total of 28 planes lost, and in addition to the 3 women that I spoke about at length, that would be Yevdokia Nikolina, Yevdokia Nosal, and Yevgenia Rudneva, right? Zhenya
Yeah.
is Yevgenia. There were 21 other women who were decorated as heroes of the Soviet Union. That's the prestigious one, right? They had multiple other medals and accolades. So there you have it. The story of the first, by the way, women combat pilots in history.
That's fucking badass.
That's
That is a badass story.
incredible.
Yeah.
I told you it was a good one, right?
I'm-
That's good.
I'm glad. Like last week with COINTELPRO, like I knew a little bit about it. I didn't
Yeah.
know shit about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like nothing.
Yeah, this was, and this is why, I mean, dude, it's been probably, at least 6 to 8 months since I put this topic on
Right.
our list. And I kept telling Riley, like, I can't wait to do this one, dude. This one's going to be a good one. I can't wait.
You've been
And
on you've been on a run actually. That the John Edward Robinson
Yeah.
deep dive.
Yeah.
This one. These are very fucking cool stories.
Yeah. I was super fucking, and when I was excited about it before, I hadn't even gone in this amount of depth. Once I started doing it and getting into the research, I was like, dude, this is just such an incredible fucking topic, dude.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and the fact that nobody here knows it, like this is,
you know what? I'm gonna have to scratch my episode that I had scheduled next week on the history of underpants. I don't think it would shine. You know?
you don't think so, huh?
Uh,
Well, there's always the following week. We'll probably tank next
probably
week.
scrap the whole thing.
We'll probably tank next week's
That's some
episode.
really interesting bits in there. Okay, but the button fly on the original Tidy Whitey was a big deal.
Oh yeah.
Very exciting.
Oh, I thought you
stuff.
were gonna say on the Levi's 501 jeans.
No, underwear.
Oh, underwear. I got you.
Wear that under. Yeah.
What are those?
Back in the day,
'Cause I'm free.
see, back in the day, if you didn't button your fly on the underwear, your dick would just flop out. You can't have that when you're riding a horse because it just won't work.
You're riding a horse?
Yeah,
What?
you're riding a horse. You got to get your dick and balls buttoned up good on your underpants, and because if it flops out into your jeans,
That's true.
while
It
you're
could-
bouncing on the saddle,
You could smash
you
that.
just smash the old pork and biscuits.
This is so you're talking about pre-automobile.
Yes.
And
It's the history of underpants.
I want to do
It
the
was
ones.
an exciting topic. I don't want to talk about it
I
anymore.
want to do the ones with the butt flap. Are the butt flap ones in
You're
there?
a butt flap. Oh, I'm glad that we were able to make this still sophomoric and ridiculous.
Of
That was
course,
good, yeah.
of course.
Always.
We didn't make any jokes about night witches flying overhead and cackling and calling the German Nazi soldiers little dick buffoons. But now I did, so I guess I feel
Did
better.
they call
was
it
gonna
because that would
suggest
be
that.
good?
I don't, not that I'm aware of. I
Like
hope
in
so.
Russian, how do you say little dick buffoon in Russian?
Fucking, who are you asking? If Anna was here, she would probably know. Right?
I get
right
it,
up front.
guys. I'm not Anna. Fuck. Sorry.
Okay, call it quits.
Yeah, I think we can wrap this one up, huh?
Think so.
If you guys like that story, and I don't know who the fuck could not, please.
Nazis
Yeah.
wouldn't like that story.
That's
But
true.
also,
That's
we
true.
do have to make a very strong stand here.
Yeah,
on
if you're a
delete
Nazi, don't
everything.
listen to our show.
Yeah, don't listen to our show. You're not
Don't.
allowed to.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to listen.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here. We think that everybody likes this, and if you do and you agree with that, then please get on whatever you're listening to. Give us 5 stars, man. Leave us a rating.
Yeah.
Tell us what you like about it. If you're on Spotify, leave us a comment in the episode.
Leave a comment in Russian. Try "Ty прекрасная."
We how do you spell that?
That's it's squiggly A
Backwards
R.
R.
I think there's a K with like another thing in there.
Yeah, there's a P
And
that's
then-
upside down
yeah,
for
it's
some
like,
reason.
That's like L, and then like a B, but it's like it starts high and then another weird K thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The B's got a dick on the bottom.
Yeah,
of
that's
it.
it, yeah,
The
yeah.
line keeps going down past the
Yeah.
the end of the butt.
I think that's it, and then like a punctuation that doesn't exist.
Oh yeah. Listen, you guys have no idea how much we love when we get like a cool comment or a cool rating talking about what you like about the show. Like it honestly, it makes our fucking week. So if you got a second, do that for us. Send us a message on deleteeverythingpodcast@gmail.com. If you feel like that's not enough and you're like, I want to support these guys even more, and you want extra content on top of that, our Patreon is fucking balls to the wall lately.
Yeah, we're popping off pretty hard on the Patreon. I'm not gonna say you're gonna learn a whole lot.
No.
but it is if you like the comedy portion of this podcast.
It's the comedy portion with maybe like we might talk about 2 historical things and then we go off on a tangent.
yeah.
And the episodes are all probably about 40-45 minutes long.
We've been doing them as like kind of warm ups to the initial episode
Yeah.
to get your sillies out.
yeah, basically, yeah,
That's
that's how we do
been-
it. That is
It's
exactly
been
how we do
good.
it.
Yeah, they're very vulgar.
So they are unhinged. That would be my adjective for them. Completely
Fucking
unhinged.
Drew was sending us like notes while he was editing our latest Patreon. He's like, Jesus, guys, I don't know.
Might want to put this one back in for a bit.
I want to put this one down. Fucking bury it
Take
up
it out
back.
back.
Take it out back and shoot it behind the dumpster. Yeah. So
Fucking
and
the
by
ice
the
cream
way,
barge one, I still don't know if we should have put
and
out.
by the way,
Probably not,
yeah.
probably
By the
not.
way, the one that we talked about taking out back and shooting behind the dumpster, we posted.
It's up now. It's up now.
I think we've got, what did we say, about 15 episodes up
Yep.
on Patreon. Like I said, they're all 30 to 45 minutes long. I think it's worth it. I think if you like the show
Fuck yeah.
and you want to support us nominally, it's not expensive to join the Patreon. So if that sounds cool, then join us on Patreon and you'll get a second episode every week. You get to hear us on 2 separate topics. One that's cool like this, and one that makes you think that maybe someone fucking, I don't know.
When we release the episodes, like when the real main like live feed episode comes out, I listen to it because I drive a lot for work, and I listen to it and I'm like, yeah, this was good. I'm glad that we did it. I'm learning a lot. But then as soon as like a Patreon drops, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be fucking stupid.
Yeah, but every time I listen, I find
I
myself
laugh my
just
ass off,
driving and laughing my ass off. I'm like, what is wrong with us? What happened in this episode?
like if somebody only listened to the Patreons,
We would
I would
make
find
no
that really
sense.
interesting.
we would what?
Like they would.
It would be they wouldn't understand what was going on. They'd be
No.
like, what are
what
these?
the fuck?
It'd be like
What's
some
wrong
weird
with these people?
Lynchian fever dream of a podcast.
Yeah, it's very unhinged is the only word I can really think about.
It's
it.
the
just
best word.
It's fun, but it is fun.
I tried to
and it is fucking
describe
funny.
what happened because you never sent me a description of the last one when I posted it.
Yeah, that's right. You did your own
And
description.
I did, and
And
I
you
said
killed
in the
it.
description, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck to say about this. Just listen to it. I think I might have said this is unhinged.
So yeah, if you want to be a part of that, then patreon.com/delete everything podcast is where to join us there, and you'll get extra time with us every week. So
Otherwise, tune in next week for the history of underpants.
that's not what we're doing.
No,
next
we're
week.
not doing that one.
Should I tell them what we're doing next week?
Yeah, sure.
Lady pirates.
Lady pirates.
Yeah.
Those are
In-
pirates
in
that are
Asia.
ladies.
In Asia. Asian lady pirates. We're going international again next week. So anyway, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Make the fucking movie, Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, right. Somebody call him Christopher Nolan. I lost his number.
Hey, Chris.